A lot of residential, is that right? Well, they need to forget, so they can get monitor.
Call section. Because I'm leaving it up.
I already leaving that. Let's go for a roll.
Oh, it sure will. Oh, boy.
Can't do two, can you?
Oh, my goodness. I was gonna make
You rush through these.
What was that?
What's that?
We're right to voice for this. That's false. Some kind of backstage.
They had some.
Do you remember that one?
Do you think you can ship it on? I think it was supposed to be.
Let's just pull it.
I hope so, it's nice and different. You can do things.
It's not, it's checked out ever since when I've gone out.
Probably because we didn't get, use the area.
What is?
She's here.
Saved by the bell.
Yeah.
You have, I know that, yes, it's no next. Apologies.
She's downstairs, guys.
Just.
Yeah, I'm in here, guys.
We could just do. Yeah, that's small.
So
I guess it's
probably just better to wait.
70 outside.
Well, we've got that. We're out.
But for what, one day or one?
That's good, good. So we got some.
70. Can't get it right. No.
Sure. That's what I swear.
That's right. They said I was.
Let me go see if it's on Jimmy's desk. But, yeah, I got it. Like, got it. Shanks are.
So I guess it doesn't matter. That's not really good. Here, you start with this.
Oops.
Oh, yeah.
Do you ready?
Good evening. We're ready to bring our February 27, 2024 Board of Zoning Adjustment meeting to order. Welcome. If you haven't been here before, we have two types of cases. You tonight?
No, there's a couple preliminary.
Okay. So tonight we're not hearing appeals, so I won't go through that. But for the zoning and special permits, we will go in order of the schedule agenda. When we call for your case, you'll come up to these chairs right here. Hopefully the mic is on. There's a sign-in sheet. We'd like you to legibly print your name, please, so for our reporter here to collect that information. You will have 5 minutes to present any additional information that you want to share with us that would help us decide on your case. If you are here to speak about the application, I will then open the floor to anybody that's here. You will have 3 minutes apiece to speak about your issues, concerns. You are addressing those things to us. It is not a cross-examination of the applicant. If you are planning to speak when you come forward, I will ask you to state your name and state whether or not you were sworn in. so that we can speed things along when you get up here, I will swear everybody in as a group. And so if you plan to talk this evening on the record, please stand, raise your right hand. You promise that the testimony you give tonight will be the truth and nothing but the truth. Please state I do.
I do.
Thank you. So preliminary issues?
Yeah, we have a few preliminary issues, two tablings, court order extension and new site plan B stamps. First tabling, BZA 22-075 for 1656 and 1664 West Belt Drive.
Okay, what numbers are those?
One.
Oh, it's not here.
Here, they was.
Okay, will the applicant come forward?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, can you state your name and whether or not you were sworn in?
My name is Victor Ndwakova. I represent my client on this.
You had to what?
I represent my client on this.
Oh, you were representing your client? Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead and state why you want the,
I missed the last meeting of the West Side Area Commission.
oh, okay. Okay, so you're on track to get that done?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, was there anybody here that wanted to speak about 1656 and 1664 West Bell Drive? Okay, do we have a motion to table?
A motion to table.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, please call the roll.
Ms. Egelhoff,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Malonka,
Yes.
Chair O'Connor Bailey.
Yes, okay, it's tabled.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, could you sign in on that?
I will.
Please.
Thank you.
Next matter.
The next tabling is for BZA 23-144 for 186 East Fourth Avenue,
First number. It's the first one.
the 13.
No.
Okay, will the applicant come forward?
After.
Oh.
13, sorry.
Oh, no, yeah.
It's probably not even in there. He
It's not.
figured it like an hour after we sent it out. It's right.
Oh, okay. Okay, state your name, sir, and whether or not you were sworn in.
My name is Dave Perry, and I have been sworn. I'm the agent for the applicant on 186 East Fourth Avenue.
Okay, state your reason for the tabling.
The architect is still working with the Italian Village Commission, and they have not voted on the application.
Okay, was there anybody here to speak about this case? None. Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to table?
Second.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Malonka,
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff,
Yes.
Chair O'Connor Bailey.
Yes, tabling granted, thank you.
Next is a board order extension for BZA 21-078 for 1959, 1963 Solent Avenue.
Okay, will the applicant please come forward? Can you state the address again?
1959 and 1963 Sullivan Avenue.
Is the property owners for that address here? I don't see anybody coming forward, so let's move on to the next thing.
It's one that Jamie sent me earlier today, so. The other is for BZA, the stamp, a new site plan for BZA 23-088.
Stamp. Don't have a stamp.
It
Oh, you
stands
stand.
pre-stamped.
Okay.
and-
Okay, what's the issue? Why is it a new stamp?
Change to the landscape plan that was submitted. They're moving the sidewalk slightly, which would require a new site plan to be
Okay.
stamped. I'll just write out the information here.
Okay.
Is that you? Ron, you covered it.
Oh, this is your case, the new site plan?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Sorry.
Can you state your name, whether or not you're sworn in?
Steve Cutler, Taft, Tennyson, and Hollister on behalf of Panda Express. I've been sworn in, Madam
Okay.
Chair. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Go ahead and state your reason and justification for the movement.
Correct. We've been working with the staff on this. They've been fantastic. We're just adjusting this realignment of the sidewalk to connect with the outer path there. Makes more sense. So as a result, we were here a few months ago. You all approved our site plan, so we're just adjusting that location.
Oh, right, sweet, okay. Okay. We need to vote on this?
Yes.
Okay, can we, is there a motion to approve the movement of the sidewalk as shown on the new site plan?
So moved.
A second,
Second,
please call the roll.
Mr. Malika?
yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah.
Chair Paul Bailey?
Yes.
All right, outstanding. Thank
New
you.
stamp. New plan is stamped.
I'm down to eat some Chinese.
And the applicant for the board order extension was Fred Hutchinson. Is he here? No, okay. And the final matter was recommendation to reorder the agenda to move number 15.
What's the reason?
Mr. Jones or Mr. Maleka would have to recuse himself for it, and and Mr. Jones may have to leave, will have to leave early, so we can ensure we have a quorum.
Is there a motion to change the agenda?
So moved.
There's a second.
Second,
Please call the roll.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Maleka?
yes.
Chair Paul Bailey?
Yes. Okay, is that we done?
Yep.
Okay. So first case, 4607 Edgecott Court.
So recording though.
So as a member of the New Albany Company Design Review Board, I have seen this.
Hold on, Mr. Malika, can you repeat that?
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm ready.
For me.
I'm ready. Sorry.
I said, as a member of the New Albany Company Design Review Board, I've reviewed these plans previously, so I'm recusing myself on this case.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
All right. 4607 Edgecote Court is located on the south side of Edgecote Court, approximately 200 feet west of North Gate. As part of the Northland Community Council, and existing zoning is Community 4 Planned Unit Development District. The 0.87 acre site is currently being developed with a single unit dwelling. Surrounding uses include similar single unit dwellings to the north, south, east, and a golf course to the west. The applicant proposes to construct a detachable garage on the property and is requesting a variance to increase the maximum allowable height for a garage from 15 feet to 23 feet. Planning has no comment on this proposal. The Northland plan does not address the matter of garage heights. With the determination that the installation of a sidewalk will not be required, all Division of Traffic Management staff review comments are also resolved. The Northland Community Council recommends approval of the requested variances, voting 16-0 in favor. City Department's recommendation is that of approval. Staff can recommend approval as the broad height and design matches that of surrounding properties in this development, and the height is not being requested for the purpose of creating additional living space.
Can you state your name, whether or not you're sworn in?
Joshua Brashear, and I was,
Is that mic on? You see a green light?
Is it really bright?
yes,
Huh. You can't hear you, so
Closer.
can you?
Joshua Brashear, I was sworn in,
Okay. Anything else you want to add to this application?
and I do not.
Is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Does the board have any questions for the applicant? Are you ready to call the question?
I'll call the question.
Question to call, please call the roll.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Chair Paul Bailey?
Yes, variance is granted. Thank you. 536 Klein Street.
Um, 36 Klein Street is located on the north side of Klein Street, approximately 350 feet west of Parsons Avenue. It is zoned R4 residential and is part of the Columbus South Side Area Commission. The 0.24 acre site is developed with a 3-unit residential dwelling. Surrounding uses are a mix of single and multi-unit residential dwellings. The applicant proposes to install 2 tenant parking spaces in the rear of the dwelling. Variances are being requested to reduce the parking from 6 to 2 spaces and to legitimize the existing reduction in the maximum side yard from 10 feet to 7 feet, and to reduce the minimum side yard requirement from 5 feet to 2 feet on the east side of the dwelling. Planning supports the proposal. C2 design guidelines state that requests for parking reductions will be considered based on the presence of on-street parking, access to transit, and the extent of variance request. As such, planning supports the side yard and parking reduction. Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the Northeast Area Commission recommends approval with a vote of 11-0. Staff will recommend approval as the variance to reduce the side yards or to legitimize existing conditions. Staff also note that the applicant has complied with the request from the Division of Traffic Management to configure the parking spaces to provide adequate maneuvering. Additionally, the site is in close proximity to transit with available on-street parking. Madam Chair.
Can you state your name, what time you're sworn in?
Mitchell Levine, and I am sworn in.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Levine. Do you have anything else to add about this?
I have nothing else to add.
And you are one of the owners of 536 Klein LLC?
That is correct.
Okay.
So,
I did.
So I'm trying to process this. So you created 2 diagonal parking spaces?
Yeah, based on what traffic and kind of the city, like all the different zoning committees and everyone I spoke with.
So they originally had 4 spaces, but there's not enough space for them to maneuver out of that safely, as determined by the Division of Traffic Management. And that is a suggestion from Division of Traffic Management to provide enough maneuvering on that spot. And that's the only way basically they can do it.
So there's only enough to back out at a diagonal. What's on the other side of the alley?
There is like some dirt and then garages.
So they're in the same situation.
Yes,
So they back out.
same situation.
How do they back out safely?
Well, typically, if there's a garage on the site, that extra width on their parcel that garage is set to provide some additional space. These parking spaces literally backed up to the right of way or to the right of way line where there's less than right at about 15 feet of right of way for that alley. So their parcel doesn't have enough space to have those parking spaces back up to the right of way line. Garages or things like that that provide additional space on their parcel would add to that maneuvering area. And on alleys, we do typically allow that maneuvering area to include the alley and space in their parcel, if that's the case.
So everybody on this street that doesn't have a garage is gonna have the same situation.
Yeah, anybody that's got existing conditions where they're trying to park head in on the alley, run the risk of backing over adjoining parcels or potentially.
They would have to move it deeper into the lot.
For what?
Why don't you do that?
Yeah, why
They
are
have
you trying to?
it's there
Yeah, they don't have room to move the spaces without encroaching on those porches and the area in the back of their house.
Well, I don't wanna sound ignorant. They got a lot of space.
Those are very old photos.
Yeah, that's from like 2015, I think.
So help me understand. Bring up the aerial or something. I mean,
Yeah, what are we trying to cure here? I'm lost.
oh, I see it. So you're saying it backs up right to
Yeah,
the alley. I see now.
so this site had gone in and put like big gravel in to provide parking without
Correct.
receiving approval.
Okay.
So that's what initiated this, and so
Yeah.
trying to remedy that, this was
Okay.
a solution that
Okay.
might have done.
I see some other people have done around the city. I'm like, oh, they did this. I can do this. This is my first time owning
Gotcha.
something that is.
Gotcha.
And the gravel got denied by the area commission, so.
But now they're.
You were cited,
I was cited for the gravel. I went to the area commissions. They said no gravel. I got confused and they're like, if you take it, you're gonna be fine. I picked it. And now I need to get variances to get down to 2 spots because of the maneuvering. Basically, we did all this because there was no Airbnbs and stuff on the street when we did it, and our tenants were saying, we have a hard time parking here. And
So gravel, there was enough parking space.
Or even when he paved it.
Well, I mean, they did not have parking prior to that. There was no on-site parking prior to them going in and putting the ground, and it was just like you saw in the picture.
But what I'm saying is with gravel, he had adequate space. It just wasn't allowable for gravel.
But then-
no, it's the same space.
Yeah, but
Yeah, the space would have been the
paved
same.
it, had the same face.
You still would need the maneuvering variance with the gravel.
I'm okay with this.
Adam, I need.
Oh, okay. I'm okay with this.
Yeah, I don't understand why we have to make, like, why we're reducing him from 4 spots to 2.
Because they're making him go diagonal and he doesn't have to. Look at this.
No, I'm wondering, why do we make
Well-
people go diagonal? Because I thought you said other places you're allowed to use the alley as a maneuvering spot.
As long as they have adequate space on their site to provide the additional, in this case, 5 feet for additional maneuvering. So those spaces couldn't be moved far enough south to provide an additional 5 feet on the site, as well as 5 feet in the alley.
So you
Those
need 10 feet
spaces-
total.
In 20 feet.
And the alley is about 15 feet wide.
I'm really okay with this.
Okay.
Not
Yeah, I
this.
just feel
I'll whatever you
like
guys tell me to do.
it's a 3 dwelling unit and we're trying to have 2 spaces.
And there's already issues on the street.
Correct.
What would we need to do to allow him to do that?
Since this is a bigger reduction, I think we could,
They'd have to send out notices?
no, I don't think so, because this would be from 2.
Oh, it's no reduction.
Because we'd be saying no.
Well,
to
it
the-
needs 6 total, so he could only, I think, technically do 4 in that space. So it would be a reduction from 6 to 4, and then he would need a maneuvering variance.
So that's what's not on here, is it? Okay.
Yes, this is to avoid that maneuvering variance, because traffic did not want that.
Yeah, traffic was not supportive of maneuvering variance for that site.
We get it,
Yeah.
but again, we have to balance several issues, not just the maneuverability. And if the street's already burdened, this area is burdened, and we have 5 more that come in and do the same thing. Visually, I know you measure. I'm looking at this thing, and if this thing was appropriately distanced and spaced, I mean, just like German Village and a lot of these neighborhoods, people cram themselves into cubbies. So I'll just say this, I'm supportive of what you have. It would require you to likely come back, but I'll let the chairperson explain.
So what's the minimum side yard? Mary?
That's existing conditions. It's kind of like, since they got the violation, you might as well get your side yards from,
So that's just not related to the parking.
not at all.
Okay.
It was already there, it's just. since they
Same
got
thing for the
violation-
maximum.
Exactly.
side yard.
And,
For
and
the minimum side yard required and the minimum side yard permitted.
Mhm.
and the site is 52 feet wide. And a parking space is normally 9. So it's barely off
Yeah, they had 4.
from a 9 for 6 parking spaces. You could also give them a variance for width. Right? And get 6 spaces on there, which would meet the parking code.
Let's do it
So sounds like we're sending you back.
in a good way.
Right.
Okay.
We don't like the 2 spaces.
I
Yeah,
want to
so,
have as many as we can.
yeah,
for
so
tenants.
that's what we want to do too.
Okay.
Is have as many spaces. What Mr. Maleka is here saying is that there's a possibility that you could get 6, but you would need to ask for a variance for the width of the
Okay.
space. And then you have to ask for this maneuvering variance because you don't have the 5 feet in back.
Okay.
So we can't do that tonight because notice has to go out to everybody.
Then do I have to go back to the area commissions again?
Yes.
But, so I'll say this, yes, you do,
Mm-hmm.
but you have some happy people here.
Yeah,
And we
okay.
make the decision.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's
I
okay.
mean, it's costing you
okay.
your time, but
Yeah.
in the long run, I think it's better for your property.
Right. No, I mean, I'd rather have 6 spaces
Yeah.
than 2,
Yeah,
and my tenants would much rather
exactly.
have parking for all
Right.
their units.
Then
so-
you can put a reserve
Mm.
parking there, nobody else can use it, so, yeah.
Okay, so new application. I'll
Yeah,
get
so you
that.
speak with city.
Is it
about-
a new application?
Yeah, it's the same application. If you reach out to Adam.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you and just ask what,
So
tell me, and I'll
I
ask what to
need
do.
for you to officially withdraw
Okay.
Or
Hang on, request tabling.
a request of tabling, I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right, as
Tabling.
the tabling.
Is there anybody here that wanted to speak about 536 Klein Street? This evening? Okay, no. Okay, so the tabling is being requested. Do we have a motion? So moved.
Second,
Please call the roll.
Mr. Maleko?
yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Chair Bailey?
Yes. Tabled. We'll see you soon.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate
I'll reach
it.
out to you. Good work.
1965 Margaret Street.
That's what really threw me off.
Good.
1965 Margaret Street is located on the south side of Margaret Street, approximately 50 feet west of Murray Avenue. As part of the North Central Area Commission and existing zoning is R4 residential district. The 0.13 acre site is currently undeveloped. Surrounding uses include mostly single unit dwellings to the north, south, east, and west, including a rail line to the west and a real estate office to the north. The applicant proposes to construct a 2-unit dwelling on the undeveloped lot. The applicant thus requests a variance to reduce the required number of parking spaces from 4 to 0. And a variance to reduce the minimum allowable rear yard from 1,534 square feet to 920 square feet. Planning supports the request. The North Central Plan recommends infill development that is aesthetically compatible with the existing neighborhood. The proposal is consistent with this recommendation. Planning continues to encourage the applicant to preserve any mature trees on site where possible. Planning has no comment on the proposed parking reduction as the plan does not address this matter. Division of Traffic Management has no comments. North Central Area Commission has recommended approval of the requested variances, voting unanimously. City Department's recommendation is that of approval. Staff can recommend approval as the narrow site configuration and lack of rear alley necessitate both the parking variance as well as the rear yard reduction. Chair.
Explain that last part, please.
So since the lot is quite narrow and we would have 2 units kind of stacked like this from the frontage on the street, there really isn't an opportunity for a driveway to pull through to park on the back, and there's also no alley to access a rear garage as well.
Bring up a street view so I can see the street. Thank you. So there's parking on the street in front. And, oh, you can't, can you Google and take it around for me?
Yeah, I can bring up a Google Maps.
And so I see a driveway next door, but no garage. Right?
There's garages, there's a garage that's detached.
Detached?
But hold on. I'm sorry, I haven't gotten you on the record yet.
Sorry.
I want you to continue this.
Okay. So because this is a narrow lot, there's no room for a driveway to go down the side like the others.
Correct. It would be this lot here. It's an older photo, obviously. The old house and the tree were both removed. But the lot is narrower than the 2 neighboring it.
But it didn't have a driveway in? Oh, I see it.
No, there was no curb cut either.
There's not, that's not a curb cut right there?
No, it looks like curved.
Hmm.
Traffic management might be able to determine better than I'll fix.
So it's basically an existing condition. Because there was no garage
Because
there.
they're putting a new structure there, so, okay.
But I'm saying the original structure didn't have a garage nor a parking or driveway, it doesn't look like.
I don't know about the original structure, actually. I don't know if we can tell from perhaps the area, maybe.
I mean, aren't we looking at the original structure now?
We are, yeah. So yeah, if there wasn't a driveway, which were, yeah, there wouldn't have been room for it. Yeah. Yeah. We can surmise that there wasn't a garage.
So I'm okay.
Okay, can you state your name for the record, please?
Ryan
For the rest, sworn in, sorry.
Yes. Ryan.
Okay,
Joaquin Cervantes. Joaquin Cervantes, and I was sworn.
Okay. Okay, do you have anything to add to the application?
We do not. At this point, I think that was a really good description of where the project is at right now. Yes, our rear yard gets a little bit smaller and we are looking to park off street.
Well, you have the areas commission, so that helps us feel better about the parking situation. Is there anybody here to speak about this application?
You too.
Oh, I'm sorry, please come forward. Can one of you guys, make room for?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi,
Hi, can you state your name, whether or not you're sworn in?
Mary Beth Kane, and yes, I was sworn.
Pull the mic a little bit closer to you.
Can you hear me?
Not really.
Hello.
There you go.
Okay. Okay, Mary Beth Kane, and yes, I was sworn.
Okay, go ahead with your testimony.
Okay, so I'm coming on this property because of the variance for parking.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like, I'm not really sure
Okay.
if there's, in my drawing that I got kind of last minute, I
Okay.
had problems, but I don't know if it looks like it's two different units.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah,
And there are like multiple bedrooms. So parking is going to be should be 4 to 0.
mm-hmm.
And I do see that there wasn't a driveway, but since it's being improved, some kind of parking should be over there. It's pretty bad parking in that area. And if you're gonna have that many bedrooms, then you're gonna need play space, and I'm kind of,
What?
place for kids to play.
No, I
No,
mean, we don't talk about kids and.
okay, but I'm just saying for family
We need play space where help us
usage. I
understand.
mean, if you're getting rid of some of the green space,
Oh,
I guess I'm talking about both things.
Okay.
gotcha.
I'm neighboring to there,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a lot of problem with people coming on my property as if it's their yard. So I just wanted to come and show my objection to not having enough parking, for that area, like you just showed, was just one home. And it may get 2 spaces, but if it's a multiple, which those homes along that road are single family. So if you're gonna make it a multi-family with multi-bedrooms, then the parking is going to definitely need to be more. And if you could see that that street doesn't have a lot of access to parking. Margaret is really not a street, but an alley. So,
Is this off of Cassidy or off of Nelson?
it's off of Fifth.
Well, they're not off of Fifth. Margaret runs east and west.
Okay,
So it's either off of Cassidy or Nelson. They separate. So I'm just trying to get a sense of, is this off of Nelson, between Nelson and Sunbury, or is it off of Cassidy?
well, it's between, Sunbury
Okay.
and my property.
Okay, gotcha.
And the railroad tracks
Gotcha.
really is where this is located. So there's not a lot of parking over there for the single family homes that are already there. And to put a multi-unit in such a small space is going to limit the parking for the other residents, some of which have driveways, most of which have driveways. And I can see that one never did, but it was a single family home.
How many bedrooms do you have?
I don't have bedrooms. Mine's, I have an office building over there.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So I am just a couple doors down in that tree line area
I got you.
over there. And my office is back there. I have a lot of problems with, and I don't want anybody to come over there and get hurt.
Did you voice your concerns at the area commission meeting?
I did not.
Okay.
I wasn't at the area commission meeting. I just got this letter, and so I came over here.
Got it. Thank you.
Do you have any other questions?
What's that? Isn't that an alley behind it, or that's just not maintained? It used to be?
It might have used to be, it would appear.
I don't know if traffic management has any input there.
Yeah, that's a platted alley, but it's undeveloped.
Okay.
We wouldn't require access to be taken off the undeveloped alleys. I would add that looking back through the aerial imagery, I think traffic management would consider this site having a previous access point to Margaret Street. There were clear driveway, gravel lines on the access to Margaret Street from prior aerial imagery. It's clear that it's been graded out, removed here, but from the images that Gabe was showing, I think we would consider this having an access point, even though there's one that's evidence.
And so, in order for them to park in the front, they would have to have a garage. Right?
So that's the curb cut there.
It looks like the curb cut would have been right off the edge of that.
And so can you bring back another aerial so we can see where the house would, because I see yeah, and so where we would run into the challenge, I don't see where the house would be situated on that. You have the architectural rendering, but it doesn't show it with the width or the length of the lot. Because we sometimes say have a driveway, but then you can't park close to the street. You have to park right up against. So it would even present challenges if we did create some kind of a parking space, like the driveway. I don't know how we could do that. Yeah.
How is this only requiring 4 spaces?
Two bedrooms.
Yeah,
It's 3 bedrooms per unit.
Oh,
It's 2 parking spaces per unit.
yeah, should be.
but basically two parking spaces per 3-bedroom unit.
It's 2 parking spaces per unit and it's a two unit complex.
So you're saying that the 2 spaces is whether a unit has 4 bedrooms or 2? Because of that?
It's by dwelling unit.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Okay, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak about this application? Okay, come back. So,
Can the architect come back too?
yeah, so why are we going with the more dense usage on this lot?
Just to explain, Hercules Center was brought up, when we first, figured this unit, it was presented as 3 units. And our compromise down was to 2 units. If you bring back that aerial, I own 1979, I own 59 and 53. So the whole street is pretty much mine from that area. So that's why they weren't concerned about the parking, because I was like, if it affected anything, it would only affect me. And that was brought up in the previous meetings as well. But the community asked for more housing. And this was our response to the community. We went to them first to say, what do you need? And they said that they needed more housing.
So obviously it's zoned for a 2 or a 4 family?
Yep, so dark.
Yeah, R1.
Okay. So it's zoned for it.
And it was what was the Central Area Commission vote?
Their vote was unanimously in favor.
And the street is 100% paved. Like with curbs and everything, because the other part of Margaret does not have curbs. It's the one that's off of Cassidy. But this one is curved and everything all the way down. I was trying to think if he had. There's no alley at the end of this lot. So that commercial zone, do they enter anywhere? Like on that, where that alley would be? Like off of Margaret perpendicular?
Talking about the one a bit north.
This. Like if this is not an alley, this is not an alley.
Well, this is unimproved. This has access to this parcel, and then there's access here off the end of our street to the parcels to.
Okay, so this needs access here. I was trying to think if since these are his, that he could create some additional parking.
Yeah, there's access there, but it's not improved right of way, and it is technically platted right of way in that section.
Okay.
All right. Board members.
I'm good.
I'm ready to call the question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Malaka?
Yes.
Chair Palmer?
Yes, variance is granted. Thank you.
Thank you.
1174 West Fifth Avenue.
Apologies for the delay. 1174 West Fifth Avenue is located on the northeast corner of West Fifth Avenue and Don Avenue. As part of the Fifth by Northwest Area Commission, and existing zoning is C4 Commercial District. The approximately 0.8 acre site is currently developed with a mixed-use structure. Surrounding uses include commercial buildings to the south, east, and west, and single-unit dwellings to the north, as well as a church to the east, a funeral home to the south, and a multi-unit dwelling to the west. Applicant proposes to demolish the existing structure and construct a new mixed-use building consisting of a retail use on the ground floor and residential above. The applicant is thus requesting variances to reduce the required number of parking spaces provided from 44 to 13, and to increase the maximum allowable height for a structure from 35 feet to 44 feet. The updated site plan notes indicating additional parking screening along Dotton Avenue, consistent with C2P2 guidelines. Planning is in full support of this proposal, including the height cap increase. Division of Traffic Management recommends approval of the requested parking variance, citing the results of a traffic study showing the on-street parking demand is fairly low and the site exists on a transit corridor. The Fifth by Northwest Area Commission, however, has recommended disapproval of the requested variances, voting 3-4, so a narrow vote of disapproval. City Department's recommendation is that, however, of approval. Staff can recommend approval of the requested variance as the parking reduction is mitigated by the inclusion of bike parking and the site's location along major public transit thoroughfare. The height increase is also mitigated by the fact that the top level violating the height restriction will be stepped back from the building footprint. Check. One more note, I understand that in your guys' packets, there is not the recommendation form. We received that after packets went out. I do have the form here, should you wish to see it.
What was the relevance in you saying it stepped back?
Right, so it's stepped back from the building footprint, that top level, so it's a little bit, in from the footprint, allowing more light to come through instead of that height blocking sunlight for surrounding residents. It's if you think of skyscrapers with the cigarette. Yeah.
I got you, thank you.
Yep.
Is there nearby public parking?
Cigarette stuff.
I know in a lot of these corridors, and I don't know why I'm immediately going to Lane Avenue, but is there any public parking nearby?
I don't see it.
Sure on this one. Yeah, I would just clarify that the studies referring to a parking study that our parking and ability services conducted on this one and came back with that, with a recommendation for approval.
Okay, can you state your names and whether or not you were sworn in?
My name is Eric Zartman. I was sworn in.
My name is Nick Kinney, and I was sworn in.
Please help us understand the reduction in the parking.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm an attorney. I represent the applicant, Nick Kenny. So this is a unique site. It's pretty, I guess it's out of date. There's a pawn shop in the front, a cinder block building in the back, and then a 4-unit apartment building behind that as well. So the site is certainly in need of some updating. Also, so this is along the Fifth Avenue corridor, which is part of the Fifth by Northwest urban commercial overlay. And this is also in the designated as one of the first zone in corridors. So these plans recommend intense commercial uses, high residential densities, and even what we expect with the zone in corridor increased height. So with respect to that, I believe we believe the proposed uses are appropriate for the site.
So to address that, I understand you. but I think that all of that contemplates adequate parking. And you're not proposing that, so don't give me one without the other.
Right. So we don't have adequate park, or we don't have code required parking per se on the site as it is. So there are 13 on-site parking spaces. We worked with the Division of Traffic Management to figure out the best arrangement and maximize the kid on the site. Now, to your question, a significant part about this is the parking variance study that we conducted with the Division of Traffic Management. And the results of that showed that Dalton Avenue does not have much, there's an abundance of street parking available on Dalton Avenue. And we think combined with the available street parking as well as the parking that we're proposing on site, that's going to more than accommodate the needs of the residents and the commercial activity in this.
Okay, thank you.
Just to clear, you guys are having 28 units?
Correct.
And what's the commercial that's gonna be in front? Is it gonna say the pawn shop
No, it'll be an office,
office? You know how many employees?
myself and my business partner.
Do you
Sorry,
have,
I didn't hear your answer.
Myself and my business partner, so just two people.
is there a commercial, like clients that come through too, or?
It'll serve as a leasing office and as a design and architecture office.
And that space is just under 1,000 square foot.
So you guys attended the community area, what was the concern raised by the area commission? I didn't know.
Well, there were a couple of concerns, parking, and also a feeling of it maybe too intense for this particular property. But again, this corridor is going to change very soon with the zone-in initiative that's coming later this year. And so we think this will bring the property into, it'll revitalize the property into the vision that the city has for these particular corridors.
28 units and 13 spots of commercial in the front just gives me pause.
Yeah, the variance study, what they do, I'm sorry, I'm sure you guys know the variance study, how it works, but there's a matrix that pops in and it's pretty green or red, I guess, is how it works out. And if the formula works out, then the Division of Traffic Management is okay with giving their approval of the requested number of variances. If the on-street parking was a different situation, if there were a lot less spots out there, then that matrix would have come back that it's not appropriate and they would have not recommended approval of that particular variance.
I don't know, someone that goes that area daily, I have an issue with that parking, but that's.
We do have a parking agreement with the adjacent nail salon.
Oh, that's interesting. What is that for?
We have 2 parking spaces that they're going to lease to us.
When though? When they're closed?
No, their business is suffering a little bit and they have an abundance of parking there. So they
You
have
said 2 spaces?
2 spaces, yes.
We're not relying our judgment on that offsite parking agreement, more focused on the judgment of the Division of Traffic Management with respect to the parking variance.
What's on the other side of Dover?
It's a single family residential or single or double family residential community. But I believe
Cover over it here for me.
High Street, this High Street corridor is distinct from the neighborhood to the north.
What do you mean?
It's a commercial corridor. The neighborhood to the north is a residential
Oh, so
neighborhood.
that's what the break is?
Right.
So I'm sorry, I wanted to know on Dover where you say that there's a lot of available parking, what's on the other side of the street?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I don't know. I think it's in the staff.
Because so again, we try to balance not only today, but tomorrow.
Sure.
And if somebody goes across the Dover and does the same thing you do, but now there's not as much available parking. So where the red dot is? No.
I'm not exactly sure.
That's the funeral home across the street from us. That is the nail salon, the gray building there. We have the parking agreement with. And then the funeral home, catty corner from 1174, has a parking lot.
That's not used all the time. That's where you should be going for your alternative parking.
We tried that.
Okay, so go back around. Your site is here.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, so you're talking about, okay, so as soon as this other corner gets developed, which is my point, if they do the same thing on the nail salon side that you're doing, we gotta figure that out, and somebody's gonna have to pony up and figure out parking. Now, again, I don't know if your site is adequate to do that, it seems like it's not. I don't know. But traffic says it's okay. So I gotta put some faith in that.
This time.
Yeah, I mean, he does a good job.
We try.
Is anybody here to speak about this application? Please come forward. Can you guys make room for the?
We're gonna ask them. He's letting me go first.
Okay, can you, is this sign-in sheet still there?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Hi, good evening. My name is Phil Metzler, and I have been sworn in. And I did provide a presentation to Dane. Are you able to pick that up?
Yep.
Thank you. Am I able to control that, or are you? All right, I'll give you this. All right, so I'm the immediate adjacent neighbor to the pawn shop. So I've been a tenant at 1166 West Fifth Avenue for 9 years. The church next door is my landlord, and we share the parking lot between us. That's been an awesome relationship, and today I'm speaking, although I've talked very briefly with the church, I'm speaking on behalf of myself, as well as the Tri-Village Veterinary Hospital, which is immediately opposite on the other side of Doughton, across from the apartments and next to the nail salon. And they are in agreement with the concerns that I have regarding parking. We have a 4,200 square foot building. We have a large retail store. You can see it behind me in the picture there. We have 7 employees. Typically, we have 4 to 5 to 6 at the building at any time, and we park in that lot. Next, please. First of all, I want to say that I'm very pleased with the proposal to develop this property. I've been a Grandview resident for 20 years, and this property has been in decline for pretty much those 20 years. So that said, next slide, please. I have some real significant issues with regards to the proposed plan regarding parking, garbage collection, signage, and visibility, and I would urge the board to reject this variance proposal, as well as to ask the applicant to revise it. Next slide, please.
Excuse me, and this won't go against your time. Can you be more specific? What are you opposed to? I mean, there are 2 variances, so let me make this clear to you. There are 2 things that they're asking us for. Tell us what you're opposed to here and why.
Okay, thank you. Next slide. All right. This, next slide, please. All right, so my main concern is, so there is no pedestrian traffic. We are a destination, so our customers come to us, they need to park at our building. Yesterday, when I got to work, there's about 30 spaces around the church that we share. That includes 3 handicap. When I got to work yesterday morning, there were probably about 20 spaces being used. There was a meeting at the church. When I left yesterday evening, we closed at 6. And at that point, I looked out, there were probably about 7 or 8 cars in the parking lot. But when I left at 7:15, there were only 3 spots open. There was a meeting at the church, and all the spaces in front of me were, in front of my building, were filled. So I have a concern about the residents of 1174 and their visitors, either temporarily parking in our spot or, worst case, parking overnight in those spaces. Next slide, please. So one of the real concerns I have is for overnight parking is snow removal. Typically, Snow removal is done between 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the morning. And if there are cars in the parking lot, then it's up to me and my employees to get out there and shovel it ourselves. That's a real hardship for us.
To shovel your own parking lot?
Instead of having them snow.
Yeah, it's that we have the church and we share the cost for snow removal as well as for the dumpsters that are in the back of the building. And if there are cars left in the parking lot in front of my building, when they go to shovel, when they go to plow that, they are not able to plow it. And when that vehicle leaves, we have to deal with all the snow that gets left there. And we have to remove that before other customers can come.
Your parking is your parking.
Yes.
And you can make sure that nobody parks. I mean, there are businesses like yours. The gentleman explained that this is a business corridor. There are people that find parking and they put up parking provisional signs. If you park here, you will be towed.
Right.
That's your remedy. I mean, I don't think we can
I agree.
legislate around.
I agree, and it's a lousy remedy because it puts the burden on me to have to put up nasty signs as well as to call towers, et cetera. Let me go on to the next one though, please. All right, I have a concern about the actual plan for the, their plan is showing exit at the rear of the building onto the alley. It's a skinny alley. Trucks go through there at 15, 20 miles an hour, and there's very little visibility coming out of the building because I've shown in those yellow lines that their apartment buildings have come right to the edge of the alley. So I have a real concern about, you know, if someone was coming down the alley and someone was coming out, they can't go the same direction.
A lot of the things, I appreciate your comments. A lot of the things that you're describing have nothing to do with this.
Well,
I
okay.
mean, they have the right to build that building as they're proposing it up to the lot line or whatever they're doing there. So please continue. Your time, but wrap it up.
All right.
Time expired a few minutes ago.
All right, next slide. I guess they say that there's 13, room for 13 vehicles. Those are, when you actually look at that, there's no room for 13 vehicles inside that garage. Those are their scale vehicles, which is roughly the same as my Chevy Cruze, and there's no room to open a door in there. So I would propose that they can't actually get 13 vehicles into that.
So parking, traffic, we can speak to that for you.
Okay. Go ahead and, if you go through these, I have some issues with, I don't believe they have sufficient garbage. Their tenants today use our dumpsters in back.
You're talking about the pawn shop?
Well, the pawn shop and the apartments, both they have a dumpster. Next slide, please.
So so they're not asking for a variance on the garbage, so let's not.
I understand, although I would ask the board to review that. Next slide, please. And next slide. Because they're.
Sir, we're not gonna review.
Okay.
What's not on our agenda.
Okay, so then the last, if you go, I think the last slide that I'm concerned that I have is regarding signage and visibility. They're proposing that the front of the building, almost up to the sidewalk with very little setback. There's no other building, in that entire, Fit by Northwest area as close as what they're proposing.
So what they're proposing, sir, is allowed by law and it's not, they're not asking for a variance for that, so that's not on our agenda either. They're allowed to do that as is, without request.
And the zoning proposal that they were referring to seeks to get input from community members like yourself. And that is the way that it seems like they're going, is bringing things right up to the street. So you could probably expect more of that.
Okay. I appreciate that. Is it possible to get a copy of the traffic report? Because when I requested the most recent plans from Dane, he provided drawings, but I did not find the traffic report on your website.
Yeah, you can request any of the traffic studies, parking studies through public records requests through our department. They will provide those. they're not typically provided, I think, through this process. That would be the reason why you forgot it in the packet.
All right. Well, I have a significant concern that the tenants, as well as any commercial customers, will park in our lot and take space away from my customers as well as the church's attendees. They already do. And I don't think there is sufficient neighborhood parking for overflow on Dothan or the other surrounding streets. So, thank you.
Thank you. Sir, can you state your name, whether you're sworn in?
My name is Thomas Clemens and I've been sworn in.
Have you testimony?
I'm a trustee with City View United Methodist Church, which is the church reference.
Right
And,
here, the responding picture?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We own the church property, of course, and as Mr. Messler mentioned, we own the building that he operates his business in.
Can you pull the microphone closer?
Yep. On behalf of the church, I'm here to propose primarily the situation. I really question any sort of parking study that could possibly improve this. If they've taken a look at the neighborhood at all, they would see that parking is already very scarce, both on Dothan and on Virginia Avenue, which is on the other side of our church. There is no parking on Fifth Avenue. And to the previous question, there is no public parking around. The applicant was gracious enough to approach us several months ago and let us know that this all was in the works. And they asked us about a deal to possibly use some of our parking spaces. We listened to them and went back and discussed it amongst ourselves and realized that it just really is not workable at all. We cannot spare any of the parking spaces that we have. When church is in session, it fills up, spills out into the adjoining streets. And there's no way that, as a church, we can't have decal parking or anything like that because it's the church. We have congregation, we have AA meetings, we have all sorts of groups. So our concern is primarily it's a very dense neighborhood. Many of the residents do not have their own driveway, so they're already parking on the streets. The situation may look very different during the day while residents are in the neighborhood are at work. Their cars aren't there. But if you come back in the evening or overnight, then there's going to be we think it's you do the math. There's not enough right now. They want to reduce from 44 to 13. Well, there's 30 some cars that are going to be looking for a parking space. They can't park in our church lot. So it's going to be a problem.
Do you have people that walk to your church or bike to your church?
We have a few. We have a fairly large population of developmentally disabled adults who attend our church. We have some people who walk. We have a few who ride bicycles, but not very many. Primarily it's driving because that section Fifth Avenue, there's a lot of traffic. So primarily people are driving. And it's also a fairly large elderly population as part of this church. So to get to the point, we very much support responsible development of residential properties. We don't think this is a responsible development where we hope that they can reach some sort of arrangement because we would love to see that property used differently and put to better use.
Are you opposed to placing no parking signs subject to tow in your lot?
We are, and we have some signs, minor signs. We don't like have a sign in front of every parking space. It wouldn't work for one thing because you can't really see, but the way the parking lot, there's a sidewalk and then sort of a drainage area, and then there's our stone church with, stained glass windows. We don't want to put our signs on stained glass windows, so there really is no place to put.
I can assure you, if this project goes forward and you put up tow signs, even if there are a few and you tow, they won't come back. Residents will understand. And again, you know, you have entitlement to the street parking as much as they do. And what we all need to understand and begin to recognize and work towards solutions is Columbus continues to grow. There's going to be more of this, and we need to do it responsibly. You're absolutely right. If I had to venture a guess, that parking lot where the funeral home is going to become developed with more than adequate parking space below it, and it maybe becomes a public parking space, like a lot of the places in the short north. And I'm not really asking you a question. I'm just trying to put that out there for everybody. We need to figure out how to work together and collaboratively. We cannot continue to look at what has been and think that things are going to continue in that same vein with buildings pulled back off of the street. We just don't develop like that anymore on major thoroughfares that are commercially induced. So.
Yeah, totally agree. And the church has been on that property for about 75 years now, and we've worked very hard to maintain good relationship with our neighbors, the residents and the other buildings, including the people across the street. We actually have an agreement to use their parking space when we overflow, which is pretty rare. So we do that a lot. But, so we do support responsible growth, but we don't think that pretending that 30-some fewer spaces than you have cars is responsible.
Understood, thank you.
Gotcha.
How many seats in your sanctuary?
About 150.
So you're, between the two properties, you probably have a variance, at least a third.
Not based on when it was built properly.
We have,
Based on now, yes.
Because you probably be required to have 30 parking spaces, plus the retail next door of another 15. So you should have 45 parking spaces. Well, I guess what I'm getting at is that you are living with a variance that's already in place, and you're basically trying to say that he shouldn't get one. But you guys.
we have, as I said, our church has been there for 75 years. There may be seating for 100. We maybe have 30 at a service.
But that's not how it's calculated. And again,
But that's real life.
Put a tenant in.
Dealing in real life, though, parking is not a problem for people who are attending our church.
But you said there's overflow behind, you use overflow it behind the funeral home.
We used to. That's very rare. That's like a Christmas Eve service situation.
What he's pointing out is that you're not adequately parked by today's standards, which are the standards that are being placed on this new development. That's
We have made agreements to find adequate parking for our people. They have not done the same.
Acknowledged.
For the record, for churches assembly, parking rate is 1 for each 30 square feet of sanctuary, and then 1 space for every 250 square feet for all other uses associated with the church.
I can't do the math, that's so.
I was in square footage. Okay, thank you.
All right, guys, I'll be quick. I don't have a PowerPoint, pictures or anything to go through, but I do.
Please state your name for
Yeah.
the record and whether or not you were sworn in.
Tyler Shell, sworn in, property owner of 1490 Doden Ave,
Okay, go ahead.
property to the north.
Is that a residential?
Yes, sir.
Right behind.
Okay.
Yeah, over one, to the left, yes, sir. So that's me there. Just voicing my concern about the disparity between private parking spaces and number of tenants. So I'm not an expert on traffic control. I'll let the experts decide, but it seems like a large disparity. Doden isn't free of parking. I also would like to point out that some of those residential facilities are quickly turning into tenant facilities, where it's going from 1 or 2 people living there to 4 or 5 people sharing that space, which adds cars to that area as well. So something to keep in mind. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Is there anybody else that wishes to speak about this property? So no one from the Northwest Area Commission?
I'm sorry.
I've never seen them in here, to be honest with you.
Oh, they're not.
But it was a narrow.
Can the applicant come back? So speak to us about why we have to have 28 units. And then speak to us about what was the conversation at the area planning commission meeting? Sorry, the area commission.
Yes, I'd be happy to answer those. We'll have a chance to respond to their comments after.
If you answer our comments.
Oh, sure. I was personally not at the meeting. Were you at the meeting?
Yeah, I mean, the meeting was more of the same stuff that you've heard today. I think almost all the homes in the immediate area have garages. So in our mind, the parking study bared out what the parking study showed. We went in following directions and documented parking 3 times a day. So it's in the morning, in the afternoon, and evening. And there was, more than adequate parking from what I saw each time we went.
And as you've noticed, it was a relatively close vote at the area commission meeting, and we didn't get that one last vote that would turn into a recommendation of approval. So it was close, it was divided, and the neighbors absolutely have right to have their own concerns about their parking lots and the impact of our development on their parking. Now, it would never be a right or okay for any of our tenants or employees or anything to park on any of these adjacent parking spaces. If it ever happens once, it's too much. And if it ever happens once, it should never happen again. Now, our goal is to be good tenants, good neighbors to the community. And as Mr. Kinney said, his office is actually going to be on site there. So there will be no way they'll easily be able to get connected with Mr. Kinney in case there are any of those issues. But going back to the study, as he said, it's measured at 3 different times of the day and also on the weekend and on the weekday. And so that's the data points that goes into this parking study. So it wasn't just counted while everyone was at work. It counted all parts of the day as weekends and weekends. With respect to the setback, the code actually requires a 0-foot setback. This is okay. With the visibility on the rear alley of the driveway, there is no visibility triangle for driveways to parking lots to alleys. So that just is not a requirement. It's across the city, there's 0-foot visibility there all over. We actually have 2 feet of visibility, but it's not a requirement. We didn't ask for a variance for it.
Yeah, no, we're asking about the number of units, the intensity of the use.
So, it's what you might be able to speak to this better, but it's what we need to make the property developable.
Yeah, we have a pretty in-depth pro forma taking into account construction loans, per square foot build cost, and that's roundabout where we need to be for this project to go forward. We think that this project represents a vast improvement from the existing structures.
Well, why do you think that your tenants are not gonna have cars?
Right now we have a quadplex in the back. If they're a 1-bedroom, roughly.
In the back, what do you mean?
In the rear of the property.
There's an existing car park.
There's a pawn shop in the front with a warehouse. It's a cinder block building, and then in the back, it's a garden style 4-unit apartment complex. It's from the 1950s. Right now, all of our tenants there do have cars, but previously we have had 2 grad students at OSU that bike or take other public transit there. We are on the bus line. There's a bus stop right out front. I can't realistically say that any percentage of our tenants won't have cars, but I think as this area densifies, I think that will become more commonplace.
Do you have any other questions for the applicants? I am hearing questions, but
I'm split. I'm split on it too.
I know, I'm inclined to go with the area commission on this one.
I just, 28 units.
Yeah.
I just can't in that area. I'm fine on the height.
Is there a unit count that you think would be appropriate?
If you have 13 spots, 13. I mean, I know that area well, maybe I could push it to like 20, 28 is just a lot for 13 spots, plus a retail establishment there. Parking's already an issue. I like the development, I think it's good. That's why I want to split it up and maybe get the other guys.
And then 1-bedroom units?
The top floor has 4 2-bedroom units.
But that's counted in the 28, right?
No, I know, but I mean, it's just.
I'm just asking.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, I guess so some might be 2 bedrooms and some might be, but to their point, the code.
Oh, I know that, but I'm just talking about what we're talking about reality.
Yeah, so I don't need you to answer this, just kind of a suggestion, because I understand and appreciate the pro forma that you have and what you need to do. And you're building rental units. The Affordable Housing Trust has, let's just say, maybe more affordable financing. That if you put in affordable units, they will finance the project at maybe a more affordable rate that allows you to do some of the things that you're talking about doing and not have to have the same cost, get you down to 20 units maybe. Just
understood. Yeah, understood. Thank you.
Are you ready for the question or just like this study?
I'm ready to call.
I would just recommend if there's disagreement on the board as to the variances, I want to split it up into individual motions.
Oh, yeah, we do have a required parking in a height district. Okay, so let's call the height.
Respectfully, Chair, may I take a temperature of the members of the board in case we might request a tabling to.
Okay, that's fair. Which issue do you want us to?
On the parking.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with the intensity. I would tend to vote with the commission on this one.
I'm supportive of the project, but probably not as intense.
I'm sort of in the same boat, leaning towards positive, but would feel better with less intensity.
Yeah.
And we respectfully request a table so that we can try to take another look at this project and come back with something that might be more digestible.
Okay. We have a motion for table.
Submitted.
Second.
Please call roll.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Malaka?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Chair Pond Bailey?
Yes. Table. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. 525 Ashwood Road.
Five 525 Ashwood Road is located on the south side of Ashwood Road, approximately 326 feet west of Irving. It is zoned rural and is part of the far south Columbus area commission. The 20.20 acre site is undeveloped. Surrounding uses are primarily single unit dwellings. The applicant proposes to construct a single unit dwelling. Variances are being requested to reduce the lot size in the rural district from 20,000 square feet to 8,466 square feet. Planning is in full support of the proposal as it is consistent with the Columbus citywide planning policies. And the Division of Traffic Management has no comments. And the Far South Columbus Area Commission recommends approval with a vote of 9-0. Staff recommended approval as the proposal is consistent with the surrounding neighborhood and the lot size makes it difficult to develop without the need for variance. Chair.
Please state your name, whether you are sworn in, please.
Abraham,
Can you pull the microphone up to you?
Abraham,
Say it again, please.
Abraham,
Abraham. Gotcha. Last name?
Omar,
Omar. Gotcha. Okay, were you sworn in earlier?
I'm sorry?
Were you sworn in earlier? Did you testify that you were?
Yes.
You did? Okay. Go ahead with your statement.
That we sized the lots from 20,000 to 8,300
and we can build a range on it, 1,441 square feet, 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, 2 car garage. This is what we're looking for.
Okay. There's a unanimous commission vote. Yeah. Is there anybody?
I'm sorry. So when property gets annexed into the city, it's always on rural, and that's why it's required to have 20,000 square feet, even though it's not.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of just like a technical thing.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application? We have any question for the applicant?
I'll call question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Malacca?
Yes.
Mr. Waddley?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Chair Plum Bailey?
Yes, variance is granted, thank you.
Thank you.
769 Mohawk Street.
Seven 769 Mohawk Street is located on the northwest corner of East Columbus Street and Mohawk Street. It is part of the German Village Commission and existing zoning is R2F residential district. The approximately 0.07 acre site is currently developed with a 2-unit dwelling. Surrounding uses include a mix of similar multi-unit dwellings and single-unit dwellings to the north, south, east, and west, with small shops and eating and drinking establishments interspersed throughout the area. The applicant had been proposing to convert a 2-unit dwelling into a single-unit dwelling and construct an addition that will connect an existing detached garage to the principal structure. That proposal, however, is not moving forward with the German Village Commission, and in the interest of maintaining some use for their application, they're using this opportunity to codify existing conditions. It's a German village, so there are tons of them. The applicant is thus requesting variances to reduce the required building setback from 10 feet to 0 feet, to reduce the minimum side yard on the north side of the lot from 3 feet to 1 foot, and from 3 feet to 0 feet on the south side, and to reduce the total combined side yards from 6.3 feet to 1.3 feet. Planning has no comment and defers to the German Village Commission. Division of Traffic Management has no comments. And the German Village Commission recommends approval of the requested variances, voting unanimously. The department's recommendation is that of approval. Staff can recommend approval as the variances are being requested to legitimize longstanding existing conditions. Chair.
Can you state your names and whether or not you were sworn in?
Dan Morgan, and I've not been sworn in.
Tally Friedman, also not sworn in.
Okay, can you both raise your right hand and promise that the testimony you give tonight be the truth? Please state I do.
I do.
Okay, do you have anything else to add to your application that was stated by the staff?
No.
So they can't build a new building, obviously. They're not in German Village. I guess they could technically. My only concern is, and we could still require it, the side yard, we would typically require that they have a cross maintenance access agreement with their neighbor. And if we approve this today and they build a new home that is code compliant, because we've codified this, we would normally want to have that in place, and we don't have that opportunity today because they're withdrawing their plans to build, right? Or were you converting?
We are not tearing the building down. This is just to codify the existing conditions.
Correct. You had an original plan to do what?
To do an addition onto the house, which we still are doing. The addition we're proposing is within zoning. We do not require any variances for the addition we're proposing. This is merely to codify the existing setback conditions.
The original proposal was for an addition that would connect the detached garage to the principal structure to make it an attached garage, which would have impacted, again, like a side yard, rear yard. It caused a lot of issues for the German Village Commission. So that's why they dropped that proposal and are instead making sure that their addition is compliant. And then the only variances that they're seeking are ones that are already existing with the current structure as is.
That's fine.
Is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Seeing none, are we ready to call the question?
I'll call the question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Waddley?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Malacca?
Yes.
Chair Plum Bailey?
Yes, variance is granted, thank you.
Thank you.
1057 West Fifth Avenue.
1057 West Fifth Avenue is located on the south side of West Fifth Avenue, approximately 120 feet east of Oxley Road. It's part of the Fifth by Northwest Area Commission, and the existing zoning is M Manufacturing District. The approximately 0.6 acre site is currently developed with a dog daycare center and is located in the urban commercial overlay. Surrounding uses include an auto repair shop and a commercial buildings to the north, warehouse space, and multi-unit dwellings to the south, commercial buildings, eating and drinking establishments, and multi-unit dwellings to the east, and single-unit dwellings, commercial buildings, and eating and drinking establishments to the west. The applicant proposes to legitimize an existing outdoor dog run associated with the current dog daycare center. The applicant had been cited for operating the business with the outdoor dog run without the required special permit. The applicant is thus requesting a special permit to allow for an animal daycare facility with an outdoor dog run. Previous case BZA 21-151 reduced the number of required parking spaces from 28 to 15 and was conditioned on the installation of bicycle parking and landscaping in front of the building. That appears to have been included.
Is when they owned the building, or that was before their?
I am unsure. I would speak to let
Okay.
the applicant speak to that. Planning has no comment on the special permit request, as neither the Fifth by Northwest Area Plan nor Columbus citywide planning policies address this specific matter. The Division of Traffic Management is supportive of application BZA 23-124 moving forward. However, prior to approval of the final site compliance plan for this proposal, right-of-way dedication of 50 feet from the center line of West Fifth Avenue will need to be completed, or an exception to this requirement would need to be requested and approved. The Fifth by Northwest Area Commission has recommended granting this special permit, voting in favor unanimously. City Department's recommendation is also that of approval. Staff recommends approval as the dog run is proposed in the appropriate zoning and is sufficiently removed from uses that might view the use as a nuisance. Chair.
Can you state your name, whether or not you're sworn in?
Leanna Rushlow, and yes, I was sworn in.
Okay. Go ahead with any other statements you want to make.
We use the outdoor, we moved from across the street, so I previously been through this process. I just didn't know that I needed the special permit because this was a different zoning from when we were across the street. So that's why we got cited. But we use it as an outdoor area for the dogs. And we also do, we hire individuals with disabilities, and it allows them to help assist with the dogs in all aspects.
Okay. Why was it relevant for you to tell us about the reduced number of spaces?
It was just site history.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Are we ready to call the question?
I'll call the question.
Questions are called, please call the roll.
Ms. Edelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Mr. Weatherly?
Yes.
Chair Bailey?
Yes. Grants the special permit granted.
Thank you.
2046 Lockbourne Road. Is the applicant here for 2046 Lockbourne Road? Put that to the side.
That's
He's outside.
On the outside?
Yeah.
Oh.
Here he comes. Here he comes.
2046 Lockbourne Road is located on the north side of Marion Road, approximately 280 feet east of Lockbourne Road. And it's on C4 Commercial and M Manufacturing. And it's part of the Columbus South Side Area Commission. The 5.45 acre site is developed with a multi-tenant retail center. Surrounding uses are residential to the east, a financial institution to the west, and office buildings to the south and north. The applicant proposes to legitimize 2 existing food trucks and a portable building and construct an outdoor dining area. Variances are being requested to allow portable buildings to remain on site permanently. Planning has no comment on the application's proposal. The Division of Traffic Management has no comments. And the Columbus Southside Area Commission recommends approval with the condition that the number of individual food truck operators will be a maximum of 2. And that was a vote of 11-0.
Sorry.
Staff is comfortable recommending approval as the food trucks that wish to remain on site on a more permanent basis are being reviewed by both the neighborhood group and the BZA, which can impose conditions on a case-by-case basis. And the conditions we're recommending is that the number of individual food truck operators will be a maximum of 2. Madam Chair.
Okay. Can you state your name, whether or not you're sworn in?
Eric Zartman, attorney for the applicant. I have been sworn in.
Okay, please state anything else we need to know about this application?
Thank you. So this is to legitimize existing food trucks that are already operating on the property. If you saw in the aerial, the parking lot is pretty much a desert of asphalt. And so we think it's a great way to rejuvenate part of this shopping center and encourage people to come in. The neighborhood groups were very supportive of the trucks that are already there. And we would absolutely agree to the conditions recommendation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So, if we do this, staff, what kind of predicament are we putting ourselves in for the future? Any? Since this is a special permit, or could we just yank it? I don't think we're. I'm sorry, I know it's a heavy question.
I think it would be in place.
Run the land, yeah.
Yeah.
Pardon?
It would run with land.
That's what I'm saying. What are we doing here? I don't think a special permit runs with the land.
Well, the food truck has to be reviewed every year, so like by the city, right?
That's for health department.
Yeah.
They would,
Let me ask, be more specific. If we say yes to something that would run with the land, what predicament are we putting ourselves? Are we opening up a can of worms potentially? And maybe not, because it's only gonna be 2 and we're limiting it to 2.
yeah, if it's limited to 2, then they wouldn't be allowed to have more than 2 on the site at a time.
And one portable building for storage as well.
It's a special permit. And so what is the storage building?
It's for prep, and there's going to be an outdoor seating area, and so they're going to have some things that they're going to be moving in and out for that area so that people can buy food and sit there and eat.
And is that a bank that's immediately to the left there? I heard a financial institution.
I'm not sure.
The bank is down. It's this one. At the bank.
PNC on the corner.
Yeah, I think it is a Dollar General, and
It's a
they
What is it?
$1. I believe it is a Dollar General.
So they don't care.
And they actually have a storage container right on, like where the green circle crosses onto their property. They have a storage container there right now. Just next to where our trucks are.
And so that's a driveway basically that you're putting this, right?
It doesn't connect.
What?
Did you mean that driveway that, like going up to the north?
Yes.
No. It doesn't connect to the north at all.
That's
I mean, it has to because there's parking.
No, I'm saying it doesn't connect to the top, to the north.
I guess what I'm saying,
Yeah.
these should be striped parking spaces and that area is a driveway. And so we're effectively putting this in a driveway.
Yeah, we actually made some requirements on the site compliance plan that they add delineation for the eating areas that they have on the site of the proposal. That included some reflective codes and getting to like fencing. That's, I think, some of what he's referring to moving in and out, because they would be able to pick that up when they're not open and put that out to try to help provide some visibility for the area as they're in operation.
So you feel like this is the best placement on the lot for this activity?
Yeah, given what they're proposing, and the fact that they're required to put in that extra delineation, they're not actually proposing to block the drive aisle itself. They are just using up some of the parking area, and that drive aisle that's on the west side of it is, considerably wider than just the standard drive aisle that's on the end of the park.
Okay.
And those squares are a little bit bigger than what.
Well, there's still the drive area, so
right.
that's why I'm asking. I'm good.
Is there anybody else here to speak about this application? Okay, does board have any?
Sorry, Madam Chair, I would ask a question of council. Does a special permit run with the land, or is it limited by both? Can it come back up?
Well, I don't know the answer offhand, but you could impose a condition that it shall not run with the land. I think that's in your authority.
Looking through the special permit section, I do not see anything that states when it would fall away.
So we'll make it fall away.
Okay, so we're adding a condition to the, we already have a condition that the number of food truck operators will be a maximum of 2. And we will say this, special permit has only been granted to Marion Shops LLC.
And then,
As long as they are the-
would we come back to renew it if there's a new operator or something like that?
New owner,
A new owner, okay.
I would say a new
we
owner.
want- Yeah,
Yeah, you would have that opportunity.
yeah,
Okay.
Just doesn't run with the land.
right. Okay. You ready to call the question as with the conditions?
No call question with the condition.
Please call roll.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Malika?
Yes.
Mr. Weatherly?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Chair Pompey?
Yes. Special permit granted. 994 East Mound Street.
Nine ninety-four East Mount Street is located on the north side of East Mount Street, approximately 155 feet west of South 22nd Street. The zone R2F residential and is part of the Near East Area Commission. The 0.04 acre site is undeveloped. Surrounding uses are primarily single and multifamily unit residential dwellings. The applicant proposes to construct a single unit dwelling. Due to the lot's limitation in the absence of alley access behind the property, providing off-street parking spaces is not feasible. A variance is therefore being requested to reduce the number of required parking spaces from 2 to 0. Planning supports this variance application as presented. The Near East Area Plan states that the advantage of a dense district is that it encourages people to walk between destinations, and ample supply of on-street parking can reduce the need for surface parking lots. Additionally, staff notes that the lack of an alley behind the proposed structure, similar existing conditions occur along this section of Mount Street with single-family homes that have very narrow lot sizes and no alley access. Lastly, staff note that this location in near East Main Street where there is access to mass transit. For these reasons, the planning supports the proposal. Division of Traffic Management had no comments, and the Near East Area Commission recommends approval of the request with a vote of 10-0. Staff is also recommending approval as the site does not have access behind the dwelling to create off-street parking. And staff notes that the site has ample on-street parking and access to transit. Madam Chair.
Okay, please state your name, whether or not you were sworn in.
Josh told me and I was sworn in.
Okay, do you have anything else to add?
It just is physically impossible to even have a 1-car garage facing the front based on the lot width. We're only 21 feet wide.
What was there before?
There was probably a house there. It was probably torn down around 1980 based on city records.
Similar lot size, all that was the same?
Yep, the lot size is existing.
Okay.
The house next door that exists is basically exactly the same, but it's not torn down.
Okay, is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Do we have any other questions?
I'll call the question.
Questions been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Malika?
Yes.
Mr. Weatherly?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Chair Pompey?
Yes, variance granted, thank you.
Thank you.
1603 South High Street.
(1603) South High Street is located on the west side of South High Street, approximately 75 feet south of Laurel Avenue. It's part of the Columbus South Side Area Commission and existing zoning is C4 commercial district. The 0.22 acre site is currently developed with a single unit dwelling. Surrounding uses include similar single unit dwellings to the north, a church to the south, a drive-through liquor store to the east, and a vacant lot and rail to the west. The applicant proposes to replace an existing detached single car garage with a new 3-car garage, also detached. The applicant is thus requesting a variance to increase the allowable lot area for a private garage from 720 square feet to 864 square feet. Planning is in full support of this proposal as the elevations are consistent with C2P2 guidelines. Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the Columbus South Side Area Commission recommends approval of the requested variance, voting unanimously. City Department's recommendation is that of approval. Staff can recommend approval as the increase in garage area is not incongruent with similar detached garages in the surrounding area and would not exceed the footprint of the principal structure. Chair.
Okay, can you state your name and whether or not you were sworn in?
Anita Nelavar.
Okay,
I was sworn in.
Oh, thank you. Do you have anything else to add to the application? Okay, we've got a unanimous Southside Area Commission approval. Do we have anybody here that wants to speak about this property? Do we have any other questions?
I'll call the question.
Question's been called. Please call the roll.
Mr. Weatherly?
Yes.
Ms. Eaglehall?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Chair Paul Bailey?
Yes, variance is granted. 1251 South Front Street. Mr. Brown will give you an option, so one of our members is taking a restroom break, you want us to wait?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We'll just take the time to sign in.
Madam Chair, may we all have?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, we can take a 5 minutes
Off the record.
hygiene break. Whoever did these staples is trying to kill me. Have you seen that?
Actually been stuck like 5 times.
It's the big, thick ones and it's
Just goes through.
come through and so when you catch it.
Throw a question. Otherwise I was thinking. 3:30. Be on the camera since. But you figured it out.
Yeah, when Joe brought it up, we got it. Figure out what our, we did that.
We can always impose a condition if you're, if there's concern.
Well, this week. My voice is a low. It's a not from here. When you all the sense back here. That's crazy. I like it. That boosts to start talking slow bits.
State of the that's the state.
Just
of the
too
whole
high,
meeting.
other-
The-
Awesome.
Good neighbor, yeah.
Yeah, but he has like the neighbor.
Well, the last.
I'm thinking Marty from this. It's really helpful to have to go through something first.
Yeah.
So we have. Yeah. It's stuck here. That's what it. He's a little, we do that. Yeah. So we don't just. I was got to for you. So the legal obligations master precedent after this. We should. Technically, just because the word said that thing. Right. The size smaller, but if you're able to take his legs, then. Yeah. But yeah, I said, it's all trying to too scary about what's happening on this, because. Yeah, so like I'm. Really worked really fantastic. Just made a joke. Ass was loud. Fantastic. Not really. It makes that. You would not know what. Yeah, it might be, it can work.
Yeah, I see that, yeah, I see that, the split, yeah.
So I stopped there.
Yeah, I was like, I checked it.
There lines where you. That and stuff.
Yeah, because they got all that.
Yeah. And then maybe find it, I got years or some roadways, I just. What's like practice strategy in that company's some logic, sure, both hours when it's. Yeah. Okay. This company fine. I do that. This is so nice. You think that's the best of it? Yeah. I think, yes. So the guy that's been just there, you're going to say, I think that was 5 years ago. And I said, I think about time to get out. Yeah. He might really, it's definitely. Is that right? You got it. It's like most realtors. I sit happy with me. So I mean, once. They still need to learn. That's the great home that you don't have a wife for shingles. That's why it's fun. That's what's the point. That's what's the time. Well, maybe that's yeah, that's the more important. Yeah, that's yeah, maybe. So I have the relations that I would not do because it's a lot of buildings and power. Like they don't want to look at houses. It's over. That's not a hanger. I mean, you could look it up. I mean, that's 16. But it's the building. Yeah. Right. So that's okay. Try everyone. So that takes long. Yeah. Enjoy that. Yeah. But try to get but the one where I would say. Hard, right? You got water cheap. Yeah. Maybe that is on if you have an acre. So I think the basic code. It's more than likely they are. So like which one? Because you're not anything, spending anything.
It's a different.
So I wanted to look at like. You a little bit, I mentioned they said better thing to change time.
How are you?
Happy to be here.
Get back here, home at 8:30, I slept about 2 hours and we had. Yeah.
Y'all here?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
That's my last thing. That'd be good.
I think we're all back. We're all back. We are resumed, 1251 South Front Street.
Perfect. 1251 South Front Street is located on the west side of South Front Street, approximately 300 feet north of West Muller Street.
Excuse me, if we're gonna have, can we have the talking outside in the hall, please? Thank you.
It is part of the Columbus Southside Area Commission and existing zoning is M Manufacturing District. The 0.62 acre site is currently developed with a commercial warehouse with office space. Surrounding uses include similar offices and warehouses to the north, south, and east, and a rail line to the west. The applicant proposes a change of use from the current warehouse space to an industrial scale dry cleaning use. The applicant is thus requesting variances to allow maneuvering across parcel lines and into the right of way on Front Street. To reduce the parking setback line from 25 feet to 0 feet, reduce the length of the parking space from 18 feet to 14 feet, to decrease the number of required parking spaces from 15 feet to, from 15 to 5, and to reduce the number of loading spaces from 1 to 0. A note on the parking space length reduction, 18 to 14 feet. It'll be clear a little later, but the two options that they are going to go with, as far as parking layout, would not necessitate that length reduction. And if that length reduction is still considered, Department of Traffic Management would not be supportive of that particular variance.
Which one of you coupled?
The length,
The length.
3312.29 parking space.
I'm gonna have to say that again, I'm.
So you're saying that one is going with the fact that we're decreasing the number of spaces from 15 to 5?
Yeah, so that one was on the statement in support originally, but later in their proposal, they have found two different options for an acceptable parking layout from traffic, the Department of Traffic Management standpoint, and neither of those options require the reduction in length. So
we're eliminating that.
we would be eliminating that if we stick to one of the site plans that I will be showing here.
But what's the alternative if we don't stick to one of the site plans?
It would be traffic not being in support.
I'm not processing anything, just keep.
I'll keep going. It'll be clear.
Oh.
Planning is supportive of the requested parking reductions and requests bicycle parking to be added to the site. Columbus City-wide planning policies, design guidelines consider support for parking reductions based on factors such as the extent of the variance requested, nature of the use, and provision of pedestrian and bicycle facilities beyond code minimums. Division of Traffic Management is supportive of the requested variances with the understanding that before final site compliance, the applicant shall commit to a parking plan that will not encroach within the right of way. And again, these two options are the ones that have been presented in the conversations between the applicant and Department of Traffic Management. And neither of these options would necessitate a reduction in the parking space length from 18 to 14. If the parking space length is still going to be sought, Department of Traffic Management would not be in support of that particular variance.
Is that 7 spaces versus 5 spaces?
2, 3, 4, yeah, 5, 6, 7, looks like 7. This one might be the one, I believe this one is probably the one that was triggering the length variance. Because that looks like it's a little truncated past the property line.
Yeah.
This one would be, again, both of them will have at least 5 spaces, as we can see.
There's 3 on that.
1, 2, 3,
Not
4,
one
5.
side.
On, yeah, exactly. They will all have at least 5. Which is why.
All required? Is that all that's required?
No, 15 would be required, but one of their variances is to reduce from 15 to 5. So for instance, if they go with the one on the left, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If we discount the one that would have to be shortened, but that's still more than 5 if we approve the
So it doesn't matter.
But I don't understand what we're deciding on.
I think because Dane is giving it such a detailed, he's making it more.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I got an email from traffic management earlier today saying it would not be supportive of the length reduction request. So I'm trying to.
Length?
The parking space length.
Of that one space.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
I got it.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask the question then. So we would be deciding on the 331225, 331227, and not agreeing on 331229.
That is correct. That if we're siding with what the Department of Traffic Management wants, that would be correct.
Okay. And thereby limiting, they would have to go with plan.
Yeah.
I don't know, they're not lettered, but the one
But
right.
But we don't decide what we're deciding on, the applicant does, so.
No, that's right, but I'm saying that if we decide to go against traffic management's suggestion, the plan on the left potentially goes against their approval. The plan on the right does not. That's how I interpret my feels.
So, please state your name and whether or not you were sworn in, please.
My name's Jack Reynolds, and I have been sworn in.
Matt Simon, I've been sworn in.
And continue the rest of the report.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. We got cut off. I understand.
Sorry. Yeah, please.
So yeah, planning supportive, Division of traffic management supportive with for all but the length of the parking space reduction. Columbus South Side supportive unanimously. City Department's recommendation is that of approval. Staff can recommend approval as all but the parking reduction variants are being sought to address existing conditions. Furthermore, the parking reduction is mitigated by the relatively low traffic in the surrounding area. We do recommend the following conditions: that the applicant shall commit to a stamped parking plan that will not encroach within the right of way, which would be one of these two.
But that's only if we make that as a condition.
Correct. Check.
Again, what we're dealing with is a building that was built in 1958. We applied for a change of use from the warehouse and office to the dry cleaning operation. And unfortunately, we found out that there was no building permit for the building in 1958, or it couldn't be found. And so as we started to put pen to paper and drew the building on the site, there were a lot of existing conditions of the 5 variances that we're looking at. 4 of the 5 acknowledge the existing condition. And if you go to the Google Earth, you can see kind of what was going on in the past, because there was perpendicular parking into the front of the building, and those spaces would stick out into the right of way, although it was not even close to the road. So the road was 20 feet away from, or the parking spaces were 20 feet away from the road. So it was an existing condition where people drove into the office and just head into the building. And in that instance, it was illegal parking. So what we tried to do was come up with 2 different conditions where we would be able to park on the site without violating the setback or the parking length into the right of way. That is why the 1 space that we provided did encroach into the right of way. It was only 1 space, and that's why we requested the 18-14 space. That would give us the one on the left side would give us a few more parking spaces, because we would have that 1 space. The one on the right eliminates that 1 space, but reduces the number of spaces. So the 15-5 is reflective of the right layout. If we can get the variance to the length for the 1 space, we could increase the number of parking spaces on site. And the 1 space is kind of indicative of what had been practiced over the last 50-some years.
Is this gonna be a retail space?
No,
Okay.
it is only for staff for a plant dry cleaning. The
It's already
actual,
there.
the building's there. No,
Is this part of Caskey's or no?
I own Caskey's as well. I own the company Caskey's. I don't own the building of Caskey's, but it's part of Caskey's, the family.
So are you moving your operation from the old building to the new building? Is that what we're talking about?
Correct, yes.
So, and there's no retail anymore where people come in?
No, retail will stay at Caskey's. We have a long-term lease with Caskey's. And then, so I'm just taking the actual production and consolidating. I have 3 different plants across the city. And so just putting on to one big plant. I do have a long-term lease with Caskey's as well. So all that's the parking in that whole lot. I'm the only unit in Caskey's right now, but I have a long-term lease for any parking extra parking I would need.
So you have adequate parking even if you.
Yeah, we were just
fine.
trying to get this, make the official, make everything right.
So I think in the best interest, we should not look at a space that's too long and support something that's gonna encroach in the right of way, so.
then why don't we simply, that still gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would be permitted under code, and we'll simply X out the 1 space that is encroaching in the right of way, and then the other ones will meet code.
So you are dropping your variance request for 3312.29,
Yes,
and you're modifying your request for 3312.49 to go from 15 to 7.
it would be, let's go with 5, simply because we don't know which one works
Okay, okay. So we're gonna keep that
on
in
site. So
Okay.
we'd like to be able to say the minimum
Okay.
would be 5, but we could go with the 7.
mind. Okay, that's fair. Okay.
So we'd like to have you stamp both site plans with the 1 space X'd out.
Why would we stamp both if we're not approving both?
Well, what we'd like to be able to do is to have the opportunity to go with one or the other, depend.
I guess the point I was making to you in the beginning, I'm not comfortable stamping a site plan that has a parking space that encroaches.
Well, what I'm saying is that we take the site plan and X out that parking space however you want it, so
Okay.
that it's not going to be used.
And X out the one on the right.
Yeah, exactly. Not exit it, not the whole plan, but just the one parking space.
I think that we make, manual modifications to stamped plans, do we? I mean, because that would mean anybody can do that after the fact, after a stamp. How do you preserve the integrity of the stamp?
But if they X something out, that means they're taking something away.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying, how do you preserve the integrity of the stamp if there's a,
Technically, you don't,
yeah.
but it hurts them more if they X something out. It's less, but I hear you.
Is there a legal,
We've made many modifications.
You can tear the page in half and we can still
The
have.
best practice would be if they submitted a new site plan.
Yeah, and
You could, Chair, you could, on the motion of the board, X out this parking space and sign your name,
Yeah.
date it
I could do
by
that.
the X, and then also stamp. That would add some integral value to the site plan, even though it's manual.
That would be fine. We, again, it was an opportunity to get another space. If you all are not comfortable with it, please exit out, initial it, and we're fine with it. And then remove the variance for 3312.29. We do not need, we.
Is there some
that.
reason why you need the stamp though from us?
They want the stamp.
Oh.
yeah, that would have been, traffic's condition that, one of these,
Okay.
site plans, their parking layouts, be conditioned.
But they wanted the site plan, they wanted the plans without the reduction in the size.
And we're agreeing to that by saying, remove that space.
Okay.
Did we have an actual request for this stamped site plan? I know we wanted them to commit to one of these two, but removing the space variance, the width of the length variance kind of negates the need for that, because they could not put those spaces in 93 by right that way.
Certainly, I mean,
That's
that,
what
that,
I'm
that's, if we do it the way we just said by taking out the parking space length reduction variance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we could just pass it without the,
Nice.
yeah, same side.
Our only concern was that parking and vehicles wouldn't be in the right of way, basically.
Yeah.
But we don't have a added parking space.
In that case.
Okay.
We don't need to stamp plan.
Did you want to speak about anything else on the?
Again, 4 out of the 5 variances are existing conditions. And as you see, we're trying to provide parking on site that, as Matt indicated, he has parking next door. So we're comfortable with what we're requesting.
Okay. Is there anybody here to speak about this application? So let me just clarify, Caskey's a staying or?
Correct, Caskey's staying. And the that's where the retail shop will be.
Gotcha, okay. We're in public.
Madam Chair, I'll call the question just to emphasize with removal of 3312.29 for the record.
Thank you.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Malika?
Yes.
Mr. Weatherly?
Yes.
Chair Connor Bailey?
Yes, variance is granted, thank you.
Thank you.
958, 960 King Avenue.
PCA 23-142 for 958 through 960 King Avenue. It's located on the north side of King Avenue, approximately 700 feet east of Kenny Road. It is zone C4, located in the 5th by Northwest Area Commission. The 0.6 acre site is currently developed with a multi-tenant commercial building and associated parking. Surrounding uses include multi-unit residential to the west, single-unit residential to the north, a daycare facility to the east, and a church and eating and drinking establishment to the south. The applicant proposes to change the use of the property from commercial to a religious facility and is requesting a variance to reduce the minimum number of required parking spaces from 70 to 27. Planning is in full support of this proposal, as the revised site plan includes additional bicycle parking and landscape screening of the King Avenue frontage consistent with C2P2 design guidelines. Additionally, staff encourages the applicant to consider adding a street tree to the front facing edge of King Avenue, but does not condition support. The Division of Traffic Management requested a right-of-way dedication of 40 feet. Additional information regarding peak usage times and indicated that parking study may be required. The applicant has initiated the right-of-way exception, which is currently under review. The information regarding peak usage times has been reviewed and staff does not think it will significantly impact the area, and the Division of Mobility Services has waived the need for a parking study. The Fifth by Northwest Area Commission recommends approval with a vote of 6-0. And staff can recommend approval as the applicant has requested parking lot screening, and Division of Mobility and Parking Services, as well as the Division of Traffic Management, have reviewed additional information regarding peak usage and the impact of parking in the area. They do not believe there will be an impact as a result of this request.
Okay, can you state your name, whether or not you were sworn in?
Dave Colby, yes, was sworn in.
Do you have anything to add to this application?
No, I think the exhibit that's on the screen is, the parking agreements with all of the neighboring areas that, have been made. So you can tell by that number, there's over 200 spaces that are available. Including some commercial spots, some street spaces, and obviously the spaces that are on their property themselves. And this is a church. They're going to have their peak usage Sunday mornings typically as well.
It should be noted that they are moving from their current location, which is directly across the street.
How many parking spaces are at the current location?
They currently have a variance where they're at right now. I don't know the number. They use predominantly the orange area and the yellow currently. I don't think they have any that are dedicated to that where they are currently. So this is they're moving across the street and they have a dedicated lot.
And you think that your average attendance is what?
Number of people coming.
Yeah.
They're estimating somewhere around 90 to 100 on peak time, which is above the the calculations that are required, which is why this exhibit we're looking at here shows that there's more than that's available.
Is there anybody here to speak about this application? Do you have any other questions on the board?
I'll call the question.
Question's been called, please call the rolls.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Malika?
Yes.
Mr. Wombley?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Chair Pompeo?
Yes. Variance granted.
Thank you.
2360 City Gate Drive.
Didn't you pass surgery?
Yeah. 2360 City Gate Drive is located on the northeast corner of City Gate Drive and Millennium Court. It is zoned M manufacturing and is part of the Northeast Area Commission. The 1.56 acre site is developed with a 9,660 square foot single-story office building and parking lot containing 42 approved parking spaces. Surrounding uses are primarily similar single-story office buildings. The applicant proposes to expand the accessory parking lot. Variances are being requested to allow for 90-degree parking spaces, to reduce the maneuvering area for 90-degree parking spaces from 20 feet to 13 feet, and 3 feet respectively, and to provide no maneuvering for 4 spaces. To increase the maximum number of required parking spaces from 39 to 63, and to allow the maneuvering area for a dumpster to be accessed from off-site. Planning is supportive of the proposal. The Northeast Area Plan recommends all parking lots visible from roadways should be screened, of which the proposal is consistent. Staff encourages the applicant to consider completing the sidewalk connection along City Gate Drive and Millennium Court, but do not condition support on this request. As such, planning is supportive of the proposal as it is consistent with the plan design guidelines. Division of Traffic Management comments, and the Northeast Area Commission recommends approval of this request with a vote of 6-0. Staff can recommend approval of the proposal as it is consistent with the northeast area plan design guideline and is appropriately screened. Additionally, the parking increase is necessary because no on-street parking is available, and the redesign of the parking lot will not change the character of the property. Additionally, staff note that no interior landscape variance has been requested, thus increasing the amount of shade trees provided on site. Madam Chair.
Please state your name, whether you're sworn in.
My name is Dave Perry, and yes, I've been sworn in.
Okay, do you have anything to add?
I'll just add briefly, I'm here as agent for the NetJets Association of Shared Aircraft Pilots. This is the pilot union for NetJets. And they are presently in a leased space on Airport Drive, 5,900 square feet, and they are full to the brim and bought this building. It's the site and building's really very attractive, but they bought this larger building and seek to add more parking than code permits. So you've had several parking variances to reduce parking on your agenda, but this application is to increase parking because the property owner recognizes the need for more parking.
So how do we justify a reduction in aisle width from 20 feet to 12? That seems like a significant reduction. Is that still space enough for maneuvering?
Yep, good question. The zoning code measures those distances of aisle widths and maneuvering to a property line and doesn't recognize easements. There's an existing easement between this property and the property to the east, 24-foot easement straddling 12 feet on each property. So
you have additional.
The maneuvering and the aisle width is provided. It's just the variance since additional parallel parking spaces are being provided along the east side.
Okay.
Some of it's divided by the property line.
And that's a recorded easement?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Any other questions? Do we have anybody here that has anything to say about this application? Okay, ready for a question?
I call the question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Maleko?
Yes.
Mr. Lovely?
Yes.
Ms. Eaglehawk?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Chair Power Bailey?
Yes.
Very good, thank you.
739 Thurman Avenue.
PZA 23-149, 739 Thurman Avenue. It's located on the south side of Thurman Avenue, approximately 190 feet west of Gilbert Street, zoned R4 and located in Columbus South Side Area Commission. The 0.11 acre site is currently developed with a single unit residence with a detached garage. Surrounding uses are all single unit residential. The applicant proposes to construct a 10 by 20 foot addition with attic access to an existing detached garage and requesting a variant to increase the maximum permitted height of a detached garage from 15 feet to 21 feet. Planning is supportive of the proposal. Both the near south side plan and Columbus citywide planning policies recommend garages should be compatible with adjacent housing designs and character. Staff note that the proposal is consistent with plan and C2P2 design guidelines, therefore are supportive of the proposal. The Division of Traffic Management has no comments on this application, and the Columbus South Side Area Commission recommends approval with a vote of 11-0. Staff can recommend approval of the requested variance as the proposed garage addition will be similar in design and character as the existing garage and the primary structure. We are requesting a condition that the elevation drawings be stamped to ensure the roof pitch of the garage is compatible with the dwelling.
Can you state your name, whether or not you were sworn in?
Tracy Parks, and yes, I was.
Okay, are you in agreement with the condition that these are the drawings that would be stamped to ensure the roof pitch of the garage is compatible with the house?
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else you want to add to the application?
No, just only if you have any questions.
Lane, did you sign in on
I did, thank you.
Does the board have any questions? I don't actually see the house. Did we already show the house?
Sorry?
Did we show the house?
I could include it. The elevation changes
Oh, the elevations, yes.
of the house.
Oh, we don't have any of the house.
Okay, just take your word for it. We'll just take your word for it that the edges match.
Planning reviewed it at part of their review.
Perfect, thank you. Any other questions on the board? Do we have anybody here that wants to speak about this application? No, no one wants to come up and.
I'll call the questions.
Which is a big call, let's call the roll.
Mr. Weatherly?
Yes.
Ms. Eaglehawk?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Malaka?
Yes.
Chair Pompeo?
Yes, variance granted, thank you. Thank you. 1522 Hess Street.
We always have amazing.
Boards,
Yeah.
it's old fashioned, but I'm old fashioned.
Jinx would be in the hallway though.
What happened?
Jinx me, she said it was a long and
It is.
All right. 1522 Hess Street is located on the east side of Hess Street, approximately 150 feet south of King Avenue. It is part of the by Northwest Area Commission and existing zoning is M Manufacturing District. The 0.3 acre site is currently developed with a design, build, office, and showroom. Surrounding uses include a mix of similar offices, fitness centers, and shops to the north, south, east, and west. The applicant proposes to expand the existing building. The applicant is requesting variances to allow for paving between the building line and the right of way, to allow for the area between the parking setback line and the right of way to be paved and not landscaped, to not provide headlight screening, to reduce the clear vision distance for parking lot access onto Hess Street from 10 feet to 2 feet on the north side and from 10 feet to 0 feet on the south side, and to reduce the parking setback line from 10 feet to 0 feet. Planning supports the proposal as it is consistent with the 5th by Northwest Area Plan and Columbus City-wide planning policies design guidelines. All comments from the Division of Traffic Management have been addressed, and the North Central Area Commission has recommended approval of the requested variances, voted unanimously. City Department's recommendation is that of approval. Staff can recommend approval as the proposal would address longstanding existing conditions, and the traffic and screening variances sought are mitigated by the fact that the site is removed from highly trafficked roads and residential uses. The proposal, while not in compliance with the landscaping requirements outlined in the code, does include landscaping islands where possible, mitigating the variance to this request. We do ask that the board consider the condition that the applicant shall commit to a site plan to memorialize said proposed landscaping islands, which I have here. Chair.
Okay, state your name, whether you're sworn in.
My name is Rebecca Mott with an office address of 411 East Town Street, Columbus, Ohio, and I have not been sworn.
Oh, okay. Raise your right hand. Do you promise that the testimony you give tonight be the truth? Please say I do.
I do.
Okay.
Well, just briefly, the variances we're requesting, there's only 4 of them. They all pertain to the parking area at the frontage of the site. So if we could take a look at the site plan.
So I have 5 here.
Oh, there should, oh, no, there's 4. I'm sorry. You must have an older version.
So let's go through the numbers for me.
Okay. Okay, so all of these variances pertain to the frontage of the site, the parking area over there. So first it's 3321.07A for landscaping. That one is describing there's going to be paved areas and parking areas from the building setback line to the right-of-way line because that's an existing condition. Those spaces were always perpendicular spaces to the right-of-way forever, since that building was first built. The expanded building is the crosshatched building to the south, so that white building is the existing building portion.
Sure.
So again, an existing condition, and we did ask the forester if we could put any trees in that area, and there's electrical lines that would obstruct, so we can't put any trees in that area anyway.
Sure.
Okay, number 2, section 3312.21B1 and 4. Those are combined into one because they're one section.
Oh,
Oh,
they're not
did you
combined on
have
ours.
this
Yeah,
different?
probably split those out.
Got it. That's the issue.
That's fine.
Okay,
Just
so
wanna make
that's,
sure we're on the same page.
oh, okay, great. Well, this one is related to landscaping that would be in the parking setback area. And again, abutting any public street. And so we just addressed that. I think it's the same thing. There's parking spaces that were perpendicular parking spaces forever. We have reconfigured the parking area out front to create a driveway access curb cut to the right of way with 3 spaces instead of what used to be probably 6 spaces out there. We also added 2 end islands and trees on the northern parking spaces that were always there. And there's an alley to the north of our property line for adequate aisle width and maneuvering. We are allowed to use an alley for the maneuvering and aisle width. So again, just a couple variances there related to landscaping and parking setback.
And why are you not wanting to put the headlight screening?
We asked the city forester if any trees or plantings could go in that area, which would be trees or shrubs or evergreens. And we can't. There's electrical lines that would obstruct and be interfering with trees or plantings. We had parking there at all times, so it's an existing condition. There used to be 6. Do you have an aerial view of the existing building or the existing site that you could show? Yeah, right there, all of that.
Is there nothing else that can screen headlights other than trees?
Well, I mean, because that is a parking area and you need to maneuver out onto Hess Street, so they can't put a fence because then they're blocking the parking to the street. But we did reconfigure the parking area, so instead of spaces that you just head end into the building perpendicular wise, now we have 3 spaces that are oriented the other way, north to south.
Okay, so you don't have the.
We have
wouldn't
no
have the
room, there's
headlights.
no landscaping there, there's no green space there, it's all pavement. So we can't put a fence up, we can't put trees up. I'm not really clear on what other kinds of headlight screening other than a mound. But yeah, we can't put any landscaping in that area. We also have a variance for the vision, the clearance vision triangles. These are extremely hard to understand because they're traffic engineering based, but they're, I'm sure he can explain them much better than I can, but they're supposed to be 10 feet by 10, right? On these triangles for having no obstruction from vision clearance issues. And we're asking for one to be down to 2 feet from 10 and one to be 0 feet from 10. There are some obstructions, we can't get around that. That's an existing condition. And traffic management does support that variance and let us know that through the process because we actually designed our parking in the front to match what they were requesting us to do with that parking. So again, we worked with the traffic division from the very beginning before we ever filed an application. And this is the configuration and layout of parking that we came up with working cooperatively. Again, the parking setback line on 3312.274, that is just because the parking code requires 10 feet for a parking space to a property line. We've always been at 0 feet. We've always had parking maneuvering right out into Hess Street. So it's 0 feet based on existing conditions. So we'd like that one to remain. And those were the variances. And if it's 4 or 5, if we want to do 5, that's fine. In terms of the number of variances. And are there any questions for us?
Any questions, board? You're agreeing to the stamp site plan that the city has?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anybody here that would like to speak about this application? I think we're good.
Question.
Questions been called, please call the roll.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Mr. Weatherly?
Yes.
Chair Pompey?
Yes. Granted, thank you.
Thank you very much.
276 Fairwood Avenue.
All right, 276 Fairwood Avenue is located on the east side of Fairwood Avenue, approximately 150 feet south of Oak Street. It is part of the near east area commission and the existing zonings R3 residential district. The 0.04 acre site is currently developed with a single unit dwelling. Surrounding uses include similar single unit dwellings. The applicant proposes to construct an addition to the rear of the existing building. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the building line from 25 feet to 4 feet, increase the maximum allowable percentage of the lot area dedicated to the building from 50% to 89%, decrease the minimum allowable percentage of the lot area dedicated to a rear yard from 25% to 12%, reduce the minimum required side yard from 3 feet to 0 feet at the south side of the lot, to allow a detached garage on the neighboring parcel to the north to encroach on the subject parcel's side yard, and to reduce the amount of off-street parking from 2 spaces to 0 spaces. Planning is in support of the proposal as it is consistent with the Near East Area Plan design guidelines. Staff encourage an additional window on the south or north elevation, but recognize the modest size and articulation of the addition as a mitigating factor and therefore are supportive nonetheless. Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the Near East Area Commission has recommended approval of the requested variances, voting 16 to 0 in favor, unanimous. City Department's recommendation is that of approval. Staff can recommend approval as the majority of the variances are being sought to address long-standing existing conditions. The addition to the structure and resulting increase in lot coverage is also not incongruent with the character of the surrounding area and is partially necessitated by the unique size and layout of the parcel. Chair.
Can you state your name for the record and whether you've been sworn?
Brian Bryson, yes, sworn. Sit on this, yes,
Okay.
Mr. Bryson, who's the cute one with
This is my daughter Logan.
So how do we have an addition that's an existing condition?
The garage is the existing condition, right?
Garage is an existing condition, so is the reduction in parking, since there is not a garage or parking space already on this property. Let's see, building line from 25 feet to 4 feet, I believe is also an existing condition.
So we're just putting an addition in the space where the garage was, is that what we're doing?
No, there was not a garage, so this is where the addition is going right here, off the back of the house. There is not a garage for this house. The garage here is for the neighboring parcel. That is the garage that is encroaching on this parcel. This parcel is a postage stamp. It is quite small, and that is kind of necessitating most of these variances.
Okay. Okay.
Kind of the story that was told to us, if you go back to that last slide. The original owner, which would be like kind of where the mouse is, built my mother and father's home for his daughter. We're literally the only home on Oak Street that's that sideways. Every other home goes from Oak Street to Elliott Alley, all the way. So we're literally the only home that goes on Fairwood sideways, like all down Oak. So it's like a makeshift lot, really.
Okay.
But they've been living there for 40 years. My father, he's had some health complications that won't allow him to get up the steps anymore. So we're trying to do an addition onto our existing elevated deck. So therefore we can kind of do like the ranch style benefits without having to move him out of, his home that he's been there for 40 years.
Okay. Is there anybody else that wants to speak to this application? Oh. Can you make your way up here?
Good evening.
Good evening. Can you get the mic a little bit closer to you? Perfect.
I'm
State-
Joyce Wright Harris, neighboring property owner. I have been sworn.
Perfect, go ahead.
Aging in place, this is what this is all about. Ryan is absolutely correct. His parents have been our neighbors for 36 years, but we have been the homeowners at 1781 Oak Street for 46 years.
Okay.
The house was actually the end of the line for the trolley that ran from downtown to the suburbs at Franklin Park. And our lot was lot number 1. And it did run from Oak Street to the alley. The house was built, our house was built in 1909. And around 1919, the owner built the garage and built Bryson's home, which was at that time known as 1781 and a half Oak Street. It's a very tight lot. My concern is not for the addition that the Brysons are planning, because we have obviously issues with access to our homes because of aging and health as well. So we're planning similar kind of changes to our home. However, because when the house was, the Bryson's homes was built, they ran the sewer, gas, utility lines all ran from the original house in 1781 all the way to the alley. And in 1947, when the house was sold to new owners, they signed an agreement that, you know, the lines were put in, we don't know where the utilities lines are, and we grant each other usage in perpetuity. When we purchased the homes, we didn't expect to be there for 46 years, and it was not a concern. However, now we want to make some changes because of aging, as I said, and health. And I have a concern about the fact that when we bought the house, gas line was bad, so they replaced that line and ran it down Fairwood Avenue back in 1978. The water supply line went bad in 1992 and was repaired. And again, in 2021, it was repaired. So if it lasts another 30 years, it's not a problem for us. But the sewer line, we still don't know where exactly it runs. We have a basement, exterior basement stairwell between the house and the garage. That wall has failed. And I know we're going to have to dig that out, and we want to put an addition to our kitchen to run from the house to the garage. So I'm unsure about how this improvement to the Bryson's home is going to impact what we plan to do as well, because while they agreed that the line was good, those utility lines were good between the two properties for in perpetuity, they didn't talk about ownership, repair costs, or anything. It's not in the agreement. So as we start digging up the site, things are going to crop up. And that's my concern. So I have scheduled an engineer to take a look. They're due to come out on the 14th of March. And I just want to know what it says, because I don't want to say, Robert, go ahead and build your addition, and then we get into the middle of something and we've got utility issues that we can't handle.
I would say that I don't think that what we would approve here today is gonna impact that. If in the process of them doing this addition, they discover something, you're gonna have to deal with it, but it's not impacted by the decision that we'll make here today. I can't see how your addition in the future or their addition today on their respective parcel and your respective parcel is gonna be impacted one way or the other with our decision.
Okay, I hear you.
Yeah, you're gonna have the issue that you described to us right now about who maintains it or that issue is gonna happen and be there regardless of what we decide today. So we can't decide on that issue from here, nor are we gonna impact that issue from here.
I understand that. But I want to go on record, because when I have to come back for variances on whatever we're planning to do, I wanted the record to show that the conditions that I described to you today were not of either one of our making. We're trying to move forward with 21st century technology to make these houses livable into the future. And I hope that we will not be blocked from what we want to do in the process.
We can't say that we're gonna approve your
I
project.
know you
I
can't.
mean,
I know
if
you
it's,
can't.
so we
But
have to.
it has an impact because as they extend the property out, it becomes like a bathtub, you know, it's a C shape. So right now we have some drainage issues. And with the distance between the north side of the Bryson property and the south side of our garage, the distance is not as wide as this table. And the drainage comes down through the roof into that small area. Now, years ago, we put a drainage pipe at the foundation of the garage to help alleviate some of that. But again, it is a concern because I know that when we start digging and making changes, a lot of things can change.
Yeah, and we've had.
Water issues can be part of that.
And we've had homeowners in here before battling that issue out, and that's something that you have to battle out with your neighbor. You gotta figure out who's gonna pay for the drainage, who's gonna maintain it, whose property lines are gonna be on. That's not something that we would decide.
And they still have to build something that's code compliant. So I'm sure that there's code that requires that if you have a certain pitch on a roof, it has to drain, it has to do this, that, and the other. So those things still have to be code compliant. We're just saying that it's okay to do it, but it still has to be done code compliant for the construction portion.
And my, you know, and the other part of my concern has to do with actually the staging of the construction, because it is a very, very tight spot. I know it's not your issue, but that's my issue.
Yeah.
Record to show.
Yeah, and you,
that there's
well,
an
I
issue.
know that the record is gonna help you though, in this case. I mean, I think that you have some valid concerns. And he's here tonight, and I think the record is really with your neighbor and him hearing your concerns and him taking those into account, and then you guys having a talk after you leave here. But as far as we're concerned, these things don't impact your property as we see.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Ma'am, did you sign in on this sign?
Oh, I will do so.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else here to speak? Did you want to speak, sir, or no? Okay, I saw you raise your hand at first. Anybody else here to speak about this? And the applicant, please come back.
So you're using the same footprint as your deck?
Right.
Okay.
We have any other questions for the applicant? Ready for the question?
I'll call the question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Malika?
Yes.
Mr. Mobley?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
Yes.
Chair Plummer Bailey?
Yes, the answer is granted, thank you. 3070 North High Street.
DCA 23-153 for 3070 North High Street. It's located on the southeast corner of North High Street and Wall Hollow Road. It's zone C4, located in the Clintonville Area Commission. The 0.25 acre site is currently developed with a commercial building and parking. Surrounding uses include a mixed-use development to the south, single-unit residential to the east, a daycare to the north, and a veterinarian to the west. The applicant proposes a change the use of a property to an eating and drinking establishment and is requesting a variance to reduce the minimum number of required parking spaces from 44 spaces to 12. Planning is in full support of the proposal. Clintonville Neighborhood Plan notes that parking reductions may be appropriate and encourages on-street parking and shared parking arrangements where possible to further the goal of creating a walkable and bikeable neighborhood. The proposal is consistent with these recommendations. The Division of Traffic Management informed the applicant that a parking study would be required. The Division of Mobility and Parking Services has reviewed the requested parking study and stated that Counted streets showed no significant on-street impact for parking, coupled with the access to transit on High Street. Mobility and parking services supports this project moving forward. The Glenville Area Commission recommends approval with a vote of 6-2-1. Staff can recommend approval of the requested variance since the applicant is providing bike racks to offset the loss in vehicular parking spaces, and because the Division of Mobility and Parking Services has approved the parking study as a result of the site's proximity to public transit and the amount of counted on-street parking spaces. Would like also to note that there are 3 letters that were submitted last week from residents in the area that were included in your packet.
Can you state your name for the record or whether you're sworn over?
Yeah, my name is Abid Kipu. I sworn in.
Can you speak a little louder?
Sure. My name is Abid Kipu, and I was sworn in.
Thank you.
My name is Young Jane. I'm swearing.
Okay. Do you have anything you want to add to the application?
Yeah.
Where are you proposing that the people park?
The customers.
Yes.
So we have on-site parking, which are 12 currently, and we have on-street parking as well, in front of the High Street in Walhalla, all the way from East California to Manhattan. And based on the parking studies, all the way in East Wing, West Wing, they were able to park in there as well. I'm also working with the neighbors, commercials, we ride for shared parking. Share the animal center right across the street. They have about 7 to 8 parking spaces. Also working with the other such as the daycare and to get more shared space if needed. Our hours are mainly in the evenings, and most of the area are commercials. And during our hours, those streets parkings are not available.
I'm sorry, those street parking made no sense.
The on-street parkings that are mainly on the high streets and as well as on the other streets that I was supposed to study, they're mainly open during the operation hours.
So, question about the parking study. There's a concern that those who have seen a parking study of available street spaces dispute the number of spaces listed, especially on North Weber.
Yeah, the properties along Weber, they all have parking to the rear for those parcels. And at the time of the study, they noted that it was about a 10% utilization rate of on-street parking for Weber, so that's why they made that determination that there would be parking available along Weber for the site.
And everybody in that area, all the commercial establishments have access to that same parking.
Correct, yeah, anybody existing in this area would have access to parking on Weber, High Street, some of the other on-street parking.
So it would not be the case, it would not be accurate to say because the businesses are already parked there, another business can't come.
Right.
So it's a hookah bar, correct? You serve alcohol too?
Not currently, but in the meantime, we get a legal license down. Now it's just gonna be beverage.
And food being served?
Not currently, it's just gonna be basic beverage and maybe just hot pockets where we can use microwave and stuff. Good. 。
Good. 。
。
Good. 。
Good.
eating and drinking establishment is the closest thing in our parking code for a lounge.
But if it was a retail establishment, parking requirement would be 250, one for 250.
Yes, 1 to 250, and this is 1% shy.
Right.
So it says there's 56 seats per occupancy in your statement.
Yeah, maximum.
And how many employees?
Currently we'll have, 240. Depends. And then one will be the cashier, one will be, maybe.
So one would be what?
So one will be a cashier and one will be, making the actual hookup, and I'll be out there to, facilitate it.
And then you said you're working on parking agreements with the neighboring, but do you have one with the animal hospital across the street?
Yes, ma'am, I have the letter, I don't know,
I'll-
facility, but I'll send that.
Like, and that's about 7 to 8 spots.
Yes, ma'am, and their hours again, so, 9 to 6. Hours are mainly our customers come in, most of them cars as well, so they can utilize the parking spot if needed.
Which your hours are what? Say it again.
Like our hours, a lot of our customers will come in the evenings, most of the lounge come in after 6 p.m. after work and stuff, so.
Do you know whether that animal hospital has leased their spaces to anybody else? Or are you the only ones?
As far as I think we were the only one, and, so, yeah, but I would like to.
Okay, I just. Let you know.
So if it was a retail establishment, they would only be required 13 spaces.
And 12.
At 12.
I mean, I'm thinking hookah bars like a eating and drinking establishment.
Yeah.
Go up and hang out. Yeah. Okay, is there anybody here to speak about this application? Board members, do we have any other questions? Ready to call the question?
I'll call a question.
Questions been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Mr. Wobbly?
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff?
No.
Chair Pompey?
Yes. Variance is granted, thank you.
Thank you.
449 East Livingston Avenue.
PZA 23-154, 449 East Livingston Avenue. It's located on the south side of East Livingston Avenue between South 9th Street and South Washington Avenue, Zone C4 and R2F. It's located in the Columbus South Side Area Commission. The 1.6 acre site is currently developed with vacant commercial buildings and associated parking. Surrounding uses include residential to the south and eating and drinking establishments to the east, a hospital to the north, and commercial to the west. The applicant proposes to construct a mixed-use development, including both commercial and residential units, and is requesting a variance to reduce the minimum required number of stacking spaces from 8 to 7. In 2018, this property was subject of a council variance, which allowed the proposed mixed-use development in C4 and R2F, and 8 associated variances were approved. Planning staff has no comment on the applicant's request for a reduction in required drive-ups, stacking spaces. Neither the Southside Plan nor Columbus citywide planning policies specify recommendations for stacking areas. The Division of Traffic Management requests that a condition be added stating the variance to 3312.11 is limited to uses without an order station and with a pickup window for picking up completed orders that were placed outside the drive-up stacking area. Last week, I was sent a copy of the approved traffic study. I have that if anyone wants to take a look at it. The Columbus Southside Area Commission recommends approval with a vote of 11-0. Staff can recommend approval as a proposed variance is negligible and will not impact vehicular circulation of the site. And again, requesting condition that variance to 3312.11 is limited to uses without an order station and with a pick window for picking up completed orders that are outside the drive-up stacking area.
Please state your name, whether or not you're sworn in. Do
Eric Zartman, attorney for the applicant. I have been sworn in.
you have anything else to add?
This is a cleanup variance from a project that got approved in 2018, as you said. So we're going through permitting now, and we realized at site compliance that we are short stacked space, parking space that we originally thought we had enough space for. I want to reiterate the mitigating factor that there are no menu boards here. So the time that people are expected to spend in the stacking lane will be far less, and the one space should not affect any of the operations.
There's no, what board, mini boards?
Menu board.
Oh, mini boards. Is there anybody here to speak about this application? Please come forward, ma'am. Can you state your name, whether or not you're sworn in?
My name is Nancy Sauter, and yes, I'm sworn.
Go ahead.
So I am here as a neighbor. I'm in one of the lots that directly comes up between Dutch Alley and the other little alley that they're exploring for Jackson Street. If I was reading them correctly when I looked at the plans. I'm opposed to the variance. For the driveway stacking area, we just the number of spaces for the, to make it possible for the node to be there. And it's very neat because I'm new to this, we're new to homeowning, we're new to all of it. And so I have not attended this outside area because I just learned of this earlier in February. And so part of the reason why we propose is, well, overall, because we don't really want a drive-through right in the yard. Additionally, the area is really small in comparison to the other windows that I've seen in the area. And it's a very small alley that was really the intersect. And then they went on to 9th, the one that runs east and west was out to 9th. And that's a small residential light where any during rush hour or anything, it gets stacked up in the residential area. And then on the big end, there's 2 drive-throughs in the area from what I know of, they're in restaurants, and one is the Starbucks that people on the big end have a hard time handling the drive-through traffic with the entry and exit out there. It's dangerous for pedestrians. It's kind of a mess. And the other one is so they choose. So to try to keep it short, this doesn't, from our experience of living there, it doesn't seem like it would be a safe decision to reduce the number of stacking. And I'm also asking for if you can get information for how it would even with concerns that there's a it doesn't seem like a very safe or beneficial thing to do.
So the property was already given a variance by city council to allow for this development there. So I think that ship has sailed.
Okay.
For purposes of you objecting to the use of the property.
Because I'm fine with the development, sorry to interrupt, but I just, yeah.
I don't know if I'm comprehending why you think the reduction in the stacking spaces is impacting your property.
I feel like it's impacting my safety in the area just because the more cars you allow back there, is one part of it, right? So there's gonna be more people possibly waiting and not paying attention, all that stuff that goes on with drive-throughs. And it's in such close proximity to where we live. And I have a young daughter, so my concern is like, right, like if somebody's waiting at the drive-through, that just doesn't seem, it doesn't really make sense of why. So like you're saying, but I can't speak to the drive-through, is that what you're saying?
So from what I know of drive-throughs, people want what they want. And so if there's not a stackable space, they're still gonna get in line for the drive-through. Am I?
Well, then my concern is they're gonna be like out onto the road.
Right, but that's not anything that any of us can control, right? I mean, there's not a policeman out there to say, no, you can't come into this drive-through. So I don't know how it would be remedied,
Okay.
right? I
I
mean, have you
guess-
ever been to Chick-fil-A? Have you ever seen their drive?
Oh, yeah, I'm Raising Cane's. I mean, it gets insane.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I go to Raising Cane's by me and it's literally, you can't turn from the main street into it because the drive-through is back to the street, but there, that's what it is. Clearly, the council didn't say they could do that, but people want Cane's, so there's no remedy for that.
So the city isn't able to do anything to deal with theirs.
I'm open for suggestions, but I don't know what could be done.
No, I don't, because I'm new to all this.
Yeah, I mean, that's just life.
Okay, no, I mean, I just figured, like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'm just trying to, I was like, well, if I don't say anything, then I'll really regret it if I find out later.
That's fair, that's fair.
So, but I
Yeah,
don't.
so I don't know how to remedy that. I mean, you raise a valid point about the traffic backing up, but there's nothing we can do about it.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Sorry, I missed you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
The applicant can come back. Are you building Chick-fil-A?
No, so, with the condition placed on this, request that there cannot be a menu board, that limits any type of Starbucks or Raising Cane's or anything like that. This is something you have to order on your phone ahead of time and then get in line and then tell the person at the one window, that you're picking up for whatever that is, or, pick up a pizza plate. A pizza with a drive-thru or something, like you don't get in line and order a pizza.
Oh, like Chipotle has.
Yeah, or a Chipotle, yeah, it's something like that where you can't actually get in line.
Right, okay.
And then, I should have mentioned this in the intro, the line is internal to the whole site. Mind if I get up and point? So those are the seven stacking spaces, and then there's only a right out from there, so, in the event that there's an unlikely scenario where the line does get over 7 spaces, there's no way it would even flow off of the property with how we're operating it. I hope that answers some clarifying.
Is there anybody else here to speak about this application? Okay, do we have any other questions?
I could probably add a little bit, especially for the public payment. Existing Dutch alley is only like 10 feet wide.
Yeah.
They are widening that to, I think, 20 feet or more to accommodate the drive-through lane, plus still have a little over 12 feet, which is more than existing for that alley. So the drive-through and the people that are waiting there wouldn't encroach in the alley, wouldn't be waiting, blocking traffic, or somebody that's trying to utilize the alley. So they're actually providing,
Looks like 22 feet.
yeah, so they're providing more width of not just Dutch Alley, but the alleys that are running east-west as well with their development, trying to accommodate the fact that there will be some additional traffic there. So I think that the applicants have done a reasonable job trying to accommodate what they're proposing for the site.
Are we ready to call the question?
I'll call a question
That's with the condition, correct?
with.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Ms. Baldway,
Yes.
Ms. Egelhoff,
Yes.
Mr. Malacca,
Yes.
Chair Bailey.
Yes, Dan's granted, thank you. 2740 Karifa Drive.
Twenty-seven forty Green Drive is located on the northeast intersection of Green Drive and Calhoun Court. It is zoned SR suburban residential, part of the far west side area commission. The site is developed with a single unit residential dwelling. Surrounding uses are primarily single unit residential dwellings. Applicant proposes to construct a single-story addition at the rear of the dwelling and to expand the existing garage to allow for a third parking spot, space, and motor. Variance is being requested to reduce the building setback along Calhoun Drive from 25 feet to 22 feet. Planning is in full support of the proposal. The elevations are consistent with the Trey B. Roberts Area Plan Design Guidelines, Division of Traffic Management and Comments, and the Far West Side Area Commission recommends approval of the request with a vote of 7-0. Staff can recommend approval as the proposal is consistent with the Trey B. Roberts Area Plan Design Guidelines. Additionally, the reduced setback along Calhoun Court is consistent with neighboring dwellings. It will not impact traffic or vision clearance, Madam Chair.
Okay. Can you state your names, whether or not you were sworn in?
Lisa Sport, and yes, I've been sworn in.
Luis Martinez, I haven't seen
Okay. Anything to add?
Not at this time.
I don't see this as a significant variance. We have unanimous approval from Far West Side Area Commission. Do we have any questions?
No.
Anybody here to speak about this application? Ready to call the question?
I'll call the question.
Question been called, please call the roll.
Ms. Sabaloff?
Yes.
Mr. Malaka?
Yes.
Mr. Lovely?
Yes.
Chair Pompey?
Yes, variance granted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last but not least, 855 North Nelson Road. Our apologies, sir.
I have a gift for this.
55 North Nelson Road is located on the southwest corner of North Nelson Road and Ridgeway Avenue, part of the North Central Area Commission, and existing zoning is C4 Commercial District. The 0.51 acre site is currently developed with a shopping center. Surrounding uses include a mix of single unit and multi-unit dwellings to the north and west, a library to the east, and a pawn shop to the south. The applicant proposes to establish a new funerary services use. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the number of parking spaces required for this new use from 29 to 19. Planning supports this proposal. The North Central Plan recommends parking lots be adequately screened and landscaped. The proposal is consistent with these guidelines. Staff recommend an additional bicycle rack to mitigate any loss of space and in consideration of the tight proximity to area trail networks, but do not condition support on this addition. The Division of Traffic Management notes that a right-of-way dedication of 40 feet from the center line of Nelson Road will be required per CCC 4309.17. North Central Area Commission has recommended approval of the requested variance, voted unanimously. City Department's recommendation is that of approval. Staff can recommend approval as the reduction is mitigated by the infrequent needs of the funerary services use. Further, while not enforceable by the city, there are 2 parking agreements with an adjacent pawn shop and a church, which further reduce the parking demand on the site.
Okay, can you state your name and whether or not you were sworn in?
My name is Dino Herbert, the architect for the owner, and yes, I have been sworn.
Okay, do you have anything to add?
No, the only other thing I might add is that the owners are working out of a t-shirt shop in the corner of the building there. They're there from 7 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. and it's a kind of a pickup only. And the other office that's on site is for the cellular tower, so no one's ever there. So the funeral home will probably have nearly full use of the lot, which is 19 spaces.
And this is a funeral home that can have services there, not just.
This will be for services and for preparation planning, and embalming, no cremation.
Okay.
No what?
Cremation.
How many additional parking spaces to the 2 parking agreements get in you?
The pawn shop and the church down the street said you can park as many as you like.
Do you know how many spots are in this 2?
The pawn shop has about close to 20, and then the church has like 35, 40.
So if you're having services, there should be
They should have
overflow lots.
They should have plenty. And the funeral home that's going in, she was on East Main Street. She intends to have her major services at churches in the area. This is actually going to be a temporary location for her. This area could seat up to 30 people.
What's the funeral home?
Affinity Memorial.
Very nice.
That's all I have.
No one's here.
I'll call the question.
Question's been called, let's call the roll.
Mr. Malco?
Yes.
Mr. Wellbley?
Yes.
Ms. Eaglehawk?
Yes.
Sarah Palmer Bailey?
Yes, variance granted.
Thank you all. I'm getting there.
So did you need to just put them all, it's on, he's here, there's like 12.
Yeah,
on.
yeah. He made sure to schedule everything.
Yeah.
Out.